Chapter 1402. It took Xiao Chun half a month to refine the heaven and earth splitting pellet. During this time, Zhang Kai had come by several times. Hearing the maid's words, Xiao Chun nodded slightly. He had a rough idea of Zhang Kai's purpose in coming here, most likely to find Zhou Meng's whereabouts. Xiao Chun ordered the maid to inform Zhang Kai that he had come out of seclusion. Afterwards, he waited quietly in the courtyard for Zhang Kai's arrival. Zhang Kai didn't have to wait for long. After about a quarter of an hour, Zhang Kai quickly walked into the courtyard. He directly stood in front of Xiao Chun and respectfully bowed. "Holy Prince, I have news of Zhou Meng." "Oh, tell me about it." Hearing this, Xiao Chun gestured for Zhang Kai to take a seat as he spoke. The Four Directions Chamber of Commerce's ability was indeed not bad, being able to find Zhou Meng's whereabouts in such a short time. Of course, this was also due to Zhou Meng's great reputation in the barbarian race, so it wasn't too difficult to find him. According to Zhang Kai, Zhou Meng had left the barbarian god sect 10 days ago, heading to Yellow Sand City, then entered the Yellow Sand Plains and hadn't come out yet. Because the Yellow Sand Plains was too big and dangerous, the Four Directions Chamber of Commerce's people didn't dare to rashly enter, thus losing track of Zhou Meng. However, according to Zhang Kai's guess, Zhou Meng had entered the Yellow Sand Plains to train. After completing his training, he would definitely return to Yellow Sand City. After all, there is only one Yellow Sand City in the vicinity of the Yellow Sand Plains. Zhang Kai had already left the Four Directions Chamber of Commerce's people in Yellow Sand City. As long as Zhou Meng appeared, they would be notified at the first moment. Xiao Chun was very satisfied with Zhang Kai's ability to handle matters. This person was indeed thoughtful. But thinking about it, if it wasn't for this, how could Zhang Kai become the Four Directions Chamber of Commerce's person in charge in the barbarian race? Moreover, Zhang Kai had also developed the Four Directions Chamber of Commerce into one of the strongest chambers of commerce in the barbarian race. Zhou Meng's whereabouts were unknown for the time being, and Xiao Chun did not plan to go to the Yellow Sand Plain. Compared to the vastness of a Yellow Sand Plain, Xiao Chun going in to look for Zhou Meng was like looking for a needle in a haystack. It would be better to do, as Zhou Meng said, and wait for Zhou Meng to return to Yellow Sand City. At that time, Xiao Chun would directly go to Yellow Sand City. He still needed to wait for a few more days. After thinking about it, Xiao Chun simply chose to stay for the time being. Anyway, he still had 2 splitting heaven and earth pills with him. He could take advantage of this opportunity to refine them. The effect of 1 pill of splitting heaven and earth had already made Xiao Chun overjoyed. Now there were 2 more. If he could refine them all, Xiao Chun was 80% sure that he could break through to the half-saint realm. If that's the case, then I'll have to trouble Lord Zhang. He thanked Zhang Kai. In the face of Xiao Chun's gratitude, Zhang Kai returned the courtesy again and again. He kept expressing that it was his honor to work for Xiao Chun. Zhou Meng would return to Yellow Sand City sooner or later. So, there was no hurry. Therefore, after talking with Zhang Kai for a while, Xiao Chun rested for a day. Then he began his closed-door training again. There were still 2 splitting heaven and earth pills left. He would use these 2 splitting heaven and earth pills to break through to the half-saint realm. Xiao Chun sat cross-legged in his room and continued to refine the splitting heaven and earth pills. Xiao Chun had already experienced it once, so he was more familiar with it this time. He was also very clear about the effects of the splitting heaven and earth pills. Another half a month passed in the blink of an eye. After he finished refining the second splitting heaven and earth pill, Xiao Chun came out of his closed-door training for a day. He asked Zhang Kai if there was any news from Zhou Meng, but the answer he received was no. It seemed that Zhou Meng hadn't left the Yellow Sand Plains. There was still no news from Zhou Meng. Xiao Chun rested for a day, and then he chose to enter into closed-door training again. After all, Xiao Chun had specially instructed the 2 maidservants by his side that no one was to disturb him during his closed-door training this time. There was only one last pill of breaking heaven and earth left. Xiao Chun was going to use this pill of breaking heaven and earth to break through to the half-saint realm. After refining 2 splitting heaven and earth pills in succession, Xiao Qian's cultivation had already arrived at the limits of perfection of the Tao Emperor realm, and he faintly touched the threshold of the half-saint realm. So, Xiao Qian intended to use the third and final splitting heaven and earth pill to break through to the half-saint realm. He seemed to be much more cautious than the last two times. After all, there was only one splitting heaven and earth pill left. If he couldn't break through in one go, then Xiao Qian would undoubtedly waste a lot of time. Xiao Qian sat cross-legged on his bed and wasn't in a hurry to refine the pill. Instead, he adjusted his state to its peak before swallowing the last splitting heaven and earth pill. The medicinal effects of the pill spread throughout his body as soon as it entered his stomach. His dantian started to circulate by itself, and the spirit energy in the surroundings was ceaselessly absorbed into his body and refined by itself. He closed his eyes tightly and began to attempt to break through to the threshold of the half-saint realm. While Xiao Qian was attempting to break through to the half-saint realm, the other saints on the saint rankings in various parts of the central world also broke through one after another. In the past, the 36 heavenly stars on the saint rankings were generally half-saints. But now, some of the earth emanations, saints who were ranked at the top, had broken through to the half-saint realm one after another. Actually, this was very normal. After all, while Xiao Qian was improving, it was impossible for the other saints on the saint rankings to not improve. Moreover, their improvements were very fast. None of them were simple to be able to make it onto the saint rankings. Many of the earth emanations, saints who were ranked at the top, had broken through to the half-saint realm one after another. As a result, the strength of the entire saint rankings had undergone a terrifying increase. At least 7 or 8 saints on the saint rankings had broken through to the half-saint realm. Xiao Qian wasn't the only one who had improved. The other saints on the saint rankings were also improving. Of course, compared to them, Xiao Qian's improvement speed was obviously faster. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to catch up with them. 10 days passed in a row. Xiao Qian had reached the crucial point of breaking through to the half-saint realm. Although it was only half a step to breaking through to the half-saint realm, it was this half a step that many people couldn't cross in their entire lives. The reason why Xiao Qian was able to break through to the half-saint realm again and again was also because of the help of the splitting heaven and earth elixir. Otherwise, this breakthrough would probably end in failure. With the help of the splitting heaven and earth elixir, Xiao Qian's spirit energy didn't dry up, and he was able to continuously break through to the half-saint realm. He couldn't remember exactly how many times he'd broken through to the half-saint realm. On this day, a muffled bang resounded from Xiao Qian's body, and then a terrifying aura shot into the sky. This aura surpassed the Tao Emperor realm. Obviously, Xiao Qian had successfully broken through to the half-saint realm. However, because he'd just broken through, Xiao Qian was momentarily unable to control the aura within him. In an instant, the aura swept out and enveloped the entire courtyard, begging for a monthly vote, begging for a recommendation. Chapter 14:03. A terrifying aura emanated from Xiao Qian's room. At this moment, the two attendants that were in charge of serving Xiao Qian looked towards Xiao Qian's room with shock on their faces. Even though their cultivations weren't high, they were cultivators as well, so they knew that Xiao Qian had broken through. Moreover, based on this aura alone, they knew that Xiao Qian's aura wasn't inferior to an ordinary Saint Realm expert. Under the envelopment of this powerful aura, the two of them turned pale while cold sweat broke out on their backs. With their cultivations, merely facing the pressure of Xiao Qian's aura was already difficult for them to endure. Moreover, this was under the circumstances that Xiao Qian wasn't intentionally targeting them. It wasn't just the two of them. Even Zhang Kai had sensed the existence of this aura. Zhang Kai, who was dealing with some matters of the merchant group, stood up and looked towards Xiao Qian's courtyard, and a wisp of surprise flashed through his eyes as he said, "Xiao Qian has broken through." Xiao Qian's combat strength was already terrifying, and now that he'd broken through to the half-saint realm, his strength would probably be even more terrifying. This aura came quickly and left quickly. In less than 100 breaths of time, the aura that effused out from Xiao Qian's room had quickly vanished. After successfully breaking through, Xiao Chun slowly opened his eyes at this moment. The 3 sky-piercing earth pills had forcefully pushed his cultivation from the perfection of the Tao Emperor realm to the half-saint realm. It could be said to be terrifying, as expected of an existence that the Xianyuan clan regards as a reserve. If I have sufficient Worldbreaker pills, then breaking through to the saint realm probably wouldn't be difficult. Unfortunately, I'm afraid I won't have such an opportunity in the future. Xiao Qin smiled. Needless to say, the effect of the pill of splitting heaven and earth was absolutely terrifying. However, such a treasure could only be found by chance. This time, it was because of the Dragon Emperor that the Xianyuan clan had no choice but to reluctantly give up 20 pills of splitting heaven and earth. But next time, Xiao Chun was sure that the Xianyuan clan would not agree even if they went to war with the dragon tribe. After all, it was too difficult to refine the pill of splitting heaven and earth, and the Xianyuan clan did not have many of them. How could they give it to others again and again? To put it bluntly, even with Xianyuan Baijian status in the Xianyuan clan, it was impossible for him to use the Sky Split pill without limit. Xiao Chun had guessed correctly about this. With Xianyuan Baijian status in the Xianyuan clan, he was only given a single pill every year. As for the other disciples of the Xianyuan clan, they had no chance at all unless they made great contributions. After making a breakthrough, Xiao Chun left the room to relax for a moment. Next, he asked the 2 maids beside him if Zhang Kai was in a hurry. The answer he received was no. Since Zhang Kai didn't come, it meant that there was still no news of Zhou Ming. Since Zhou Ming still hadn't left the Yellow Sand Plains, Xiao Chun planned to take advantage of this opportunity to consolidate his cultivation that had just broken through. 3 days later, Zhang Kai finally arrived. Xiao Chun had more or less stabilized his cultivation that had just broken through to the half-saint realm. When he saw Xiao Chun, Zhang Kai immediately bowed and congratulated him. Congratulations on breaking through to the half-saint realm. Xiao Chen's breakthrough naturally couldn't be hidden from Zhang Kai. He had also sensed the aura that day. Hearing this, Xiao Chun smiled slightly, but did not say anything more about this issue. Instead, he asked about Zhou Ming. Lord Zhang, have you come because you have news of Zhou Ming? Yes, I do have news of Zhou Ming. Just now, a message came from Yellow Sand City, saying that Zhou Ming has already left the Yellow Sand Plains. He should arrive in Yellow Sand City today, Zhang Kai replied. Not only did Zhang Kai leave people in Yellow Sand City, he even arranged for the people of the 4 Directions Chamber of Commerce to keep an eye on the surroundings of the Yellow Sand Plains. This was to ensure that they would know about Zhou Ming's movements at the first possible moment. Hearing Zhang Kai's words, Xiao Chun smiled and said, "That's right. Since that's the case, I'll go to Yellow Sand City today." Since he already had news of Zhou Ming, Xiao Chun didn't stay here any longer. He left Southern Barbarian City on the same day and rushed towards Yellow Sand City. Southern Barbarian City had a transportation array that led directly to Yellow Sand City. Therefore, Xiao Chun didn't need to rush there. Under Zhang Kai's personal escort, Xiao Chun stepped onto the transportation array that led to Yellow Sand City. He quickly appeared in Yellow Sand City. When he walked out of the transportation array, there were already people of the 4 Directions Chamber of Commerce waiting there. However, what Xiao Chun didn't expect was that there were actually 2 members of the barbarian race. In the beginning, it was a little strange, but after thinking about it, he understood. As the strongest human chamber of commerce in the barbarian race's territory, there would naturally be barbarian race cultivators in the 4 Directions Chamber of Commerce. Yellow Sand City was already in the hinterlands of the barbarian race's territory. It would definitely be inconvenient to send human cultivators here. Just like how the surrounding barbarian race cultivators all cast their gazes towards Xiao Chun. Human cultivators might not be rare in Southern Barbarian City, but they were absolutely rare in Yellow Sand City. Therefore, if Zhang Kai sent human cultivators here, it would be too obvious of a target. Although the 2 people in charge of welcoming Xiao Chun were 2 barbarian race cultivators, it was obvious that the 2 of them had already been thoroughly trained by the 4 Directions Chamber of Commerce. Therefore, when they saw Xiao Chun, the 2 of them respectfully bowed and greeted him. "Greetings, Holy Son." There's no need for dually. Where's Zhou Ming? Did you enter the city? Seeing this, Xiao Chen slightly waved his hand and said. Xiao Chen immediately inquired about Zhou Ming's whereabouts. He couldn't wait to fight with Zhou Ming. After all, he had just made a breakthrough in his cultivation. He also wanted to see how much his cultivation had increased after he had broken through to the semi-sage realm. Seeing that Xiao Chen had opened his mouth to ask about Zhou Ming, the two of them naturally didn't dare to conceal anything. They immediately led Xiao Chen to Zhou Ming's location. In fact, Zhou Ming had already entered Yellow Sand City more than 2 hours ago. At this time, he was drinking in a restaurant in Yellow Sand City. After more than a month of experience in the Yellow Sand Plain, it was naturally very tiring. Therefore, after arriving in Yellow Sand City, Zhou Ming also came to the restaurant to drink and relax. It was a restaurant of some scale. Xiao Chen went all the way to the 3rd floor. At the door of a private room, Xiao Chen stopped. Zhou Ming was inside. Xiao Chen indicated that the two beside him didn't need to follow him. He directly pushed open the door and entered. In the room, a tall and sturdy young man was drinking wine. When he saw Xiao Chen push open the door and enter, the young man's face revealed a puzzled expression. Human race's warrior? This young man was naturally Zhou Ming. When he saw Xiao Chen, Zhou Ming was stunned at first. Then, he became puzzled. On the contrary, Xiao Chen didn't care at all. He directly sat opposite Zhou Ming and said to Zhou Ming with a smile, Brother Zhou Ming, I'm Xiao Chen. I think you should know who I am. Oh, so you're Xiao Chen. What's the matter? Are you looking for me for something? Naturally, he had heard of Xiao Chen's name. Hearing this, Zhou Ming drank the wine in his bowl and said in a clear voice, It's nothing. This time, I came out to experience the world. I just happened to hear that Brother Zhou Ming was in Yellow Sand City. So, I specially came to exchange pointers with Brother Zhou Ming. Xiao Chen said with a smile, Please add me to your collection. Please recommend me. Chapter 1404. Xiao Chen didn't hide his purpose. Of course, there was nothing to hide. After all, when a holy disciple went out to train, it was either to seek an opportunity to break through or to challenge other holy disciples on the holy list. Even if it was Zhou Ming who went to the human territory, he would definitely challenge other holy disciples on the holy list. Therefore, it wasn't strange at all. Hearing Xiao Chen's blunt words, Zhou Ming laughed heartily. All right, I'd agree. But let's wait until tomorrow. I just want to drink today. I'm tired, Brother Xiao. If you don't mind, let's drink together. We'll fight again tomorrow. A battle between holy disciples on the holy list wasn't a matter of deep hatred, so there was no need to be so tense. Xiao Chen didn't refuse Zhou Ming's offer. Even though he had only exchanged a few words with Zhou Ming, Xiao Chen liked Zhou Ming's personality. Zhou Ming was similar to other barbarians, careless and forthright. The barbarian race worshipped strength, and strength could break all laws. Therefore, there were very few people in the barbarian race who were particularly cunning. After all, if you only knew how to play petty tricks and didn't have any strength, then you would be looked down upon by everyone. According to the barbarians' culture, instead of spending time and energy on small tricks, it was better to raise one's strength. The straightforward nature of the barbarian race was indeed not disagreeable, but this also resulted in their warlike habits. Among the 100 races in the Central World, there was no doubt that the barbarian race was the most warlike. After drinking with Zhou Ming, Xiao Chen stayed in Yellow Sand City. Zhou Ming wanted to fight again tomorrow, but Xiao Chen didn't mind. One more day or one less day wouldn't make a difference. The night passed in silence. Xiao Chen didn't cultivate that night. Instead, he adjusted himself to his peak condition. When Xiao Chen came out of his room the next morning, Zhou Ming was already waiting in the courtyard. For the sake of convenience, Xiao Chen slept with Zhou Ming last night. Of course, this courtyard belonged to the barbarian god sect. Upon seeing Xiao Chen walk out, Zhou Ming smiled and said, Let's go. I also want to experience the human race's holy sun's techniques. Zhou Ming showed no signs of fear. On the contrary, he was very excited. Xiao Chen and Zhou Ming left the Yellow Sand City as soon as they finished talking. Both of them were saints of the saint ranking, and their powers were not to be underestimated. Fighting in the Yellow Sand City was definitely out of the question, as any random attack from them could easily affect a large area and even injure others by accident. Therefore, the battlefield that Zhou Meng chose for the two of them was the Yellow Sand Plains. The Yellow Sand Plains were deserted, making it the best battlefield. Zhou Meng and Zhou Meng entered the Yellow Sand Plains, but they didn't go too deep. They found a secluded place in the outer area and stood facing each other. Strong winds blew the yellow sand into the air, and smoke filled the sky. However, there was an intense battle intent that soared to the sky from both of them. In a short time, you've risen from the last place on the Saint rankings to 79th place. Brother Xiao Chun, I've always been curious about you. Being able to fight with you today can be considered as fulfilling one of my wishes. Zhou Meng said solemnly as he looked at Xiao Chun. After you, Brother Zhou, Xiao Chun replied after hearing that. The barbarian race didn't like to use weapons. Hearing Xiao Chun's words, Zhou Meng didn't say anything else. He clenched his fists and punched the ground. In an instant, the ground cracked inch by inch. At the same time, the ground shook violently like an earthquake. Earth-shattering. Zhou Meng snorted coldly as he punched the ground. The earth shook violently, and Xiao Chen's body was shaking as well. At the same time, streaks of fire spewed out from the cracks of the earth annihilation. Earth-shattering fist. Connecting with the earth fire, Xiao Chun was instantly enveloped by the earth fire. However, with Xiao Chen's current strength, the earth fire couldn't hurt him at all. In addition, Xiao Chun had comprehended the law of fire, so the earth fire around him was as docile as a sheep. It didn't dare to hurt Xiao Chun at all. The violent earth fire was nothing in front of Xiao Chun. However, Zhou Meng obviously didn't expect to hurt Xiao Chun with such a small trick. After all, as a chosen on the Saint rankings, Zhou Meng knew that the earth fire was no longer lethal to them. Zhou Meng wasn't discouraged by the earth fire's ineffectiveness. After he punched, he shouted angrily and took the initiative to charge at Xiao Chun. The aura of the Perfection Tao Emperor stage was completely revealed at this moment. Zhou Meng had obviously touched the threshold of the half-saint stage. It wouldn't be long before he broke through to the half-saint stage. However, Zhou Meng was still weaker than Xiao Chun. If they were at the same level, Zhou Meng might be able to fight a fierce battle with Xiao Chun. However, there was already a gap between their cultivations, so the outcome of the battle was already decided. When Zhou Meng charged in front of Xiao Chun, the dustless sword immediately appeared in his hand with a thought. Then, the aura of an half-step Saint stage expert erupted without any reservation. Zhou Meng's expression changed slightly when he sensed Xiao Chen's aura. You've broken through? He didn't expect Xiao Chun to have broken through to the half-saint stage. Zhou Meng didn't notice it earlier, but he clearly sensed it now. When there was a gap in cultivation between the chosen on the Saint rankings, the outcome of the battle was basically decided. After all, who could challenge someone who was at a higher level than them? It wasn't like ordinary cultivators who could challenge someone at a higher level. Xiao Chun had broken through to the half-saint stage, so there was almost no suspense about the outcome of the battle. Even so, Zhou Meng still didn't stop. Even though he knew that he would lose, he still had to fight. Surrendering wasn't Zhou Meng's style. The two of them still fought fiercely, but the outcome was obvious. Zhou Meng was defeated in the end. Of course, Xiao Chun didn't kill him. Zhou Meng's expression didn't change much when the battle ended. He had already expected this outcome. He cupped his hands at Xiao Chun and laughed loudly. Haha, you really live up to your reputation. Brother Xiao Chen's strength is very strong. A loss was a loss, and Zhou Meng was not a sore loser. Furthermore, Xiao Chen's strength was indeed stronger than his, so he did not blame him for losing. Xiao Chen smiled slightly when he heard Zhou Meng's words. At the same time, the Saint rankings appeared in the sky. Xiao Chen's name jumped from 79th to 75th, while Zhou Meng fell one place to 76th. After defeating Zhou Meng, Xiao Chen naturally replaced Zhou Meng's ranking on the Saint rankings. Please collect, vote, recommend. Chapter 1405. After defeating Zhou Meng, His ranking on the hallowed rankings changed once more. However, Xiao Chun didn't pay much attention to all of this. There wasn't much of a difference between the 75th and 79th place. It was even to the extent that Xiao Chun was slightly depressed after his battle with Zhou Ming. Even though Zhou Ming was strong, it wasn't enough to test his full strength. After his cultivation had advanced to the half-saint realm, the gap between Xiao Chun and Zhou Ming's combat strength had actually widened. As such, it was naturally impossible for Zhou Ming to be a match for Xiao Chun. In Xiao Chun's opinion, Zhou Ming's current strength was slightly weak. After putting away the dustless sword, Xiao Chun looked at Zhou Ming and said with a smile, "Brother Zhou, you admit it. The outcome of the battle had been decided, and it didn't exceed Xiao Chun's expectations." At the same time, after his battle with Zhou Ming, Xiao Chun felt that the saints ranked in the 60th and 70th places on the hallowed rankings were probably no longer a match for him. After all, as Xiao Chun had said, the saints ranked in the 60th and 70th places on the hallowed rankings were all at the perfection of the Tao Emperor realm. The gap between them was only in terms of combat strength, and it wasn't huge. After Xiao Chun had broken through to the half-saint realm, they were no longer a match for him. In this way, Xiao Chun naturally didn't have to challenge him one by one. Instead, he could directly skip the 60th and 70th places and challenge the saints ranked in the 60th and above. In this way, Xiao Chun was even closer to becoming one of the 36 Heavenly Dipper saints. They didn't become enemies because of this battle. After all, it was a fair battle. Moreover, Zhou Ming wasn't someone who couldn't accept defeat. Since he was weaker than Zhou Ming, a loss was a loss. There was nothing much to say about it. After returning to Yellow Sand City, Zhou Ming took the initiative to invite Xiao Chun for a drink. After that, the two of them went to the restaurant from yesterday. In the private room, Xiao Chun and Zhou Ming drank to their heart's content. After this battle, the relationship between the two of them had become even closer, and they were much more relaxed as they spoke. During the banquet, Xiao Chun asked Zhou Ming about the other barbarian saints on the saint ranking. The barbarian tribe had a total of 10 chosen on the saint ranking. After Zhou Ming's introduction, Xiao Chun discovered that these 10 chosen on the saint ranking of the barbarian tribe were either ranked too low to be Xiao Chun's match or ranked too high for Xiao Chun. In the end, once he understood the situation of the 10 berserkers on the saint ranking, Xiao Chun discovered that there was only one person who was most suitable for him, and that was Wang Lushan. Wang Lushan was ranked 52nd on the saint rankings, which was just right. It was within Xiao Chun's consideration. Xiao Chun wouldn't challenge someone who was too strong, because that would be asking for trouble. The 52nd rank was just right. After confirming Wang Lushan's identity, Xiao Chun asked Zhou Ming about Wang Lushan. Hearing Xiao Chun's words, Zhou Ming asked with some doubt, "Brother Xiao, are you still planning to challenge Wang Lushan?" Seeing that Xiao Chun was so concerned about Wang Lushan, Zhou Ming naturally guessed something. Xiao Chun didn't deny it and nodded. "Yes, I'm out to gain experience this time, so I naturally have to spar with the other chosen on the saint ranking." It was true that he wanted to challenge Wang Lushan. Otherwise, why would Xiao Chun look for him? They didn't know each other. Seeing that Xiao Chun admitted that he wanted to challenge Wang Lushan, Zhou Ming nodded and said slowly, "I don't have much of a friendship with him. However, we're both barbarian races holy princes on the saint ranking, so we've seen each other before. Wang Lushan is a holy prince of the Power King Pavilion, and it's said that he broke through to the half-true saint realm a few days ago. Brother Xiao Chun, you have to be careful if you want to challenge him." Zhou Ming was a disciple of the barbarian god sect, while Wang Lushan was a disciple of the Power King Pavilion. The two of them weren't from the same sect, so they weren't familiar with each other. Therefore, Zhou Ming didn't know much about Wang Lushan. Xiao Chun briefly explained Wang Lushan's situation to Xiao Chun. Even though he didn't go into detail, hearing that Wang Lushan had just broken through to the half-true saint realm a few days ago, Xiao Chun was overjoyed. This was really like having a pillow delivered to him when he wanted to sleep. It was pointless for Xiao Chun to rely on his cultivation to suppress a chosen who was at the perfection stage of the Tao Emperor realm. On the other hand, Wang Lushan had just entered the half-saint realm just like him. So Wang Lushan was an extremely good opponent. Since both of them had just entered the half-true saint realm, Wang Lushan should be a suitable opponent. Thinking of this, Xiao Chen looked at Zhou Meng and asked, "Brother Zhou Meng, can you find out Wang Lushan's current location?" Xiao Chen wasn't familiar with the barbarian race, so he naturally didn't know where Wang Lushan was. Therefore, he probed Zhou Meng. When Zhou Meng heard Xiao Chen's question, he readily agreed. "It's a small matter. Wang Lushan's whereabouts aren't hard to find. I'll ask the barbarian god sect to keep an eye out for him. I believe they'll find him soon." Xiao Chen wanted to challenge Wang Lushan. This was a very normal competition between holy princes on the holy rankings. Therefore, Zhou Meng agreed without any hesitation. However, helping Xiao Chen find Wang Lushan's whereabouts wasn't a big deal. Of course, if Xiao Chen wanted to harm Wang Lushan, Zhou Meng wouldn't help him. After all, he and Wang Lushan were both holy princes on the barbarian race's holy rankings. It was impossible for him to watch an outsider kill Wang Lushan. Zhou Meng agreed without hesitation. Seeing this, Xiao Chen cupped his fists and thanked Zhou Meng. After a round of drinking, their relationship grew closer. In the next few days, Xiao Chen stayed in Yellow Sand City, waiting for news from Zhou Meng's side. With the barbarian god sect strength, their efficiency was much faster than the Four Directions Chamber of Commerce. Therefore, Zhou Meng came looking for Xiao Chen a day later, saying that he had news of Wang Lushan. "Brother Xiao, there's news," Zhou Meng said in a clear voice as he strode into the courtyard. Hearing this, Xiao Chen's face stiffened, but he quickly asked, "Oh, Brother Zhou, please tell me." "Wang Lushan is currently in the Power King Pavilion. If Brother Xiao wants to challenge him, you can go there directly," Zhou Meng said. Wang Lushan was in the Power King Pavilion, and if Xiao Chen wanted to challenge him, he had to go there. Hearing this, Xiao Chen was stunned. The Power King Pavilion was one of the barbarian race's great saint sects, and they were very powerful. Going there to challenge Wang Lushan wasn't a problem, but that was their territory. As an outsider, what if one of the Power King Pavilion's experts went crazy and decided to take him down with them? What would he do then? This situation wasn't impossible. This wasn't human territory, so Xiao Chen needed to be careful. As if seeing through Xiao Chen's worries, Zhou Meng spoke up. "Brother Xiao, you worry too much. Our barbarian race only recognizes strength. You challenging Wang Lushan is a fair battle. The Power King Pavilion's experts won't interfere. Brother Xiao can rest assured. Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations." Chapter 1406. The barbarian race was not a particularly narrow-minded race. The barbarian race only respected strength. They did not care about winning or losing in a fair battle. Even if they lost, the powerhouses of the Power King Pavilion would not retaliate. There was no need to worry about that. Moreover, a battle between the saints on the saint ranking was extremely common in the Central World. If the powerhouses of the Power King Pavilion were to retaliate because Xiao Chen defeated Wang Lushan, wouldn't the Power King Pavilion lose face? Hearing Zhou Meng's words, Xiao Chen nodded slightly in agreement. He then looked at Zhou Meng and smiled. "Thank you, Brother Zhou. Brother Xiao Chen is too polite. Since Brother Xiao Chen already has a plan, why don't I accompany Brother Xiao? It just so happens that I also want to see the battle between Brother Xiao and Wang Lushan," Zhou Meng replied. Zhou Meng expressed that he wanted to travel with Xiao Chen. This was not because he had any special intentions, but purely out of curiosity. He wanted to see who would win in the battle between Xiao Chen and Wang Lushan. Hearing Zhou Meng's words, Xiao Chen did not refuse and nodded in agreement. After staying in Yellow Sand City for another day, Xiao Chen and Zhou Meng rushed to the Power King Pavilion early in the morning. As a supreme saint sect of the barbarian race, the Power King Pavilion naturally had a prominent position in the barbarian race. In front of the gate of the Power King Pavilion, several disciples of the Power King Pavilion blocked Xiao Chen's path. The leader of the group said coldly, "Human race cultivator?" Xiao Chen, a human race ancient martial art practitioner, had come to the Power King Pavilion. This naturally made these disciples wary. However, before Xiao Chun could say anything, Zhou Meng spoke up first as soon as the disciple finished speaking. He is the human race's holy son, Xiao Chun. He specially came to challenge Wang Lushan. Zhou Meng was very direct with his words. However, after hearing his words, the expressions of the disciples eased up a little. Previously, they did not know the purpose of Xiao Chen's visit, but now that Zhou Meng had personally spoken, the disciples felt a little more reassured. Moreover, they knew Zhou Meng as the holy son of the barbarian race. There weren't many people in the barbarian race who didn't know Zhou Meng. It was not strange for them to challenge holy son Wang Lushan. Sparring between holy sons was not strange. Seeing this, the leading disciple said in a deep voice, "Wait here for a moment. I will go and report." After saying that, the disciple cupped his hands and bowed to Zhou Meng. "Senior brother, please wait for a moment." Xiao Chun and Zhou Meng were both chosen on the saint rankings, and Zhou Meng had been defeated by Xiao Chun a few days ago. But so what? No matter how strong Xiao Chun was, he was not a brute and could not threaten the disciples of the brute race. Therefore, the disciples of the Power King Pavilion did not show any respect to Xiao Chun. Of course, Xiao Chun did not care about this. It did not affect him whether they were respectful or not. After all, Xiao Chen's purpose of coming here was to challenge Wang Lushan and raise his ranking on the saint rankings. Just as he was about to go and report, a few more people walked out from the mountain gate. The person in the lead was tall and strong. When a disciple who was in charge of guarding the mountain gate saw this person, he immediately went up and respectfully called out to him. "Greetings, senior brother Tong Huang." That's right, this person was Tong Huang, the former first holy son of the Li Wang sect in the northern star boundary. Tong Huang, after coming to the central world, he had directly joined the Power King Pavilion and quickly became the prospective holy son of the Power King Pavilion with his talent. Although he was ranked last, it was not bad. At this moment, Tong Huang did not pay attention to the disciple in front of him. Instead, he looked directly at Xiao Chun with a smile. "Ha, brother Xiao Chun, why have you come?" He did not have any grudges with Tong Huang. On the contrary, the two of them had interacted a lot in the northern star boundary. Now that they met an old friend again, whether it was Xiao Chun or Tong Huang, they were naturally happy. Taking the initiative to walk up to Xiao Chun, Tong Huang joked with a smile. "Comparisons are odious. You and I are both from the northern star boundary, but you've already become a chosen on the saint rankings. How enviable." Tong Huang was obviously joking. When someone surpassed you by too much and you realized that you could no longer catch up, there would naturally be no jealousy. After all, the gap between them was too big. After coming to the central world, Xiao Chun could be said to have soared. The speed of his improvement was simply shocking. When Tong Huang first heard about Xiao Chun, he was indeed unwilling to admit defeat. However, as Xiao Chen's ranking on the saint rankings kept changing, Tong Huang understood that there was no longer any comparison between him and Xiao Chun. Back in the northern star boundary, they were both first holy sons. However, now, in the central world, Xiao Chun had completely left them in the dust. After teasing each other for a while, Tong Huang asked, "Why have you come to the barbarian territory?" Unaware of Xiao Chen's intentions, Xiao Chun replied truthfully, "I came out to gain experience. It just so happens that I'm here to challenge Wang Lushan." "You want to challenge senior brother Wang?" Tong Huang was stunned once again. Wang Lushan was a disciple of the Power King Pavilion, so Tong Huang was naturally familiar with him. However, Wang Lushan was ranked 52nd on the saint rankings. His strength was extremely terrifying. Tong Huang did not expect Xiao Chun to have already reached this step. Since Xiao Chun came to challenge Wang Lushan, he naturally had the strength to fight. Otherwise, with Xiao Chen's character, he would not have come at all. Tong Huang smiled bitterly and said, "You really are a monster. Come in with me." However, senior brother Wang seems to be in seclusion. You might have to wait a few days. Since Wang Lushan was in seclusion, Xiao Chun did not pay much attention to it. Under Tong Huang's lead, Xiao Chun and Zhou Meng directly entered the Power King Pavilion. First, they arranged accommodations for Xiao Chun and Zhou Meng. Then, Tong Huang reported the matter to his superiors. After all, Xiao Chun came to challenge Wang Lushan. This matter naturally had to be known to the experts of the Power King Pavilion. This time, Xiao Chen's challenge was considered to have gone through the proper procedures. He had officially paid a visit and issued a formal challenge. With Xiao Chen's arrival, the news quickly spread within the Power King Pavilion. After all, such a matter could not be concealed even if they wanted to. Many disciples of the Power King Pavilion were discussing this matter. A battle between chosen on the saint rankings was always the most eye-catching, and the disciples of the Power King Pavilion were no exception. However, in the eyes of the disciples of the Power King Pavilion, it was obvious that Wang Lushan had a higher chance of winning in the battle between Xiao Chun and Wang Lushan. After all, Wang Lushan's ranking on the saint rankings was higher than Xiao Chen's by quite a bit. Moreover, Wang Lushan had recently broken through to the sage-to-be realm, and his strength was extremely powerful. Therefore, it was almost impossible for Xiao Chun to defeat Wang Lushan in the eyes of the disciples of the Power King Pavilion. Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. Chapter 1407. After all, Wang Lushan was a holy son who had been on the holy list for a long time. Before Xiao Chun entered the holy list, Wang Lushan was already ranked in the 50s. One was a veteran holy son on the holy list, while the other was a rising star who had been in the limelight recently. The battle between the two was naturally very eye-catching. Staying in the courtyard, Xiao Chun did not leave for a few days. After all, Xiao Chun was also aware of the movements in the outside world. Now that the entire Power King Pavilion was discussing his challenge to Wang Lushan, there would be too much trouble if he went out at this time. Therefore, Xiao Chun simply stayed in the courtyard to cultivate peacefully and wait for news from Wang Lushan. On the contrary, Zhou Meng had met many friends in the Power King Pavilion in the past 2 days. They were all holy sons of the barbarian race on the holy list, so Zhou Meng was no stranger to the Power King Pavilion. 3 days passed in a row, but there was no news from Wang Lushan. Zhou Meng did not know what was going on, but on this day, the experts of the Power King Pavilion came to Xiao Chen's residence. An old man with half-step great sage realm cultivation was said to be the deputy pavilion master of the Power King Pavilion. In the main hall, Xiao Chun saw the deputy pavilion master. In response, Xiao Chun bowed respectfully and said, "Junior Xiao Chun greets senior." The other party was the deputy pavilion master of the Power King Pavilion, and also a half-step great sage realm expert. Xiao Chun naturally had to treat him with respect. Facing Xiao Chun, the old man did not have the slightest arrogance. He waved his hand and said in a calm tone, "Human holy son, Xiao Chun. Not bad. How is the old man, Yangzi?" The old man had naturally heard of Xiao Chen's name. Hearing the old man's words, Xiao Chun nodded and replied, "Ancestor, everything is fine." He asked about Yangzi's situation. Of course, this was just some polite words. Moreover, from the old man's words, it seemed that he did not have much respect for Yangzi. This was a very normal thing. After all, the old man was a barbarian. Even if Yangzi was the great sage, he did not need to be too respectful. Just like the half-step great saints of the heavenly Yin and solar sect, they wouldn't show any respect to the pavilion master of the Power King Pavilion. After chatting for a while, the old man finally got straight to the point. "This time around, you wish to challenge Wang Lushan. This is a matter between the chosens on the saint ranking, and my Power King Pavilion does not intend to interfere." Wang Lushan was in seclusion a few days ago. When he heard that you specially came to challenge him, he exited his seclusion yesterday. You can fight tomorrow. What do you think? Wang Lushan had already come out of seclusion and would be able to fight Xiao Chen tomorrow. Xiao Chen naturally would not refuse and immediately nodded in agreement. Seeing that Xiao Chun had agreed, the old man did not say anything else. He only told Xiao Chun that someone from the Power King Pavilion would come tomorrow to bring Xiao Chun to the battle arena. He came quickly and left quickly. The old man only stayed with Xiao Chun for less than a quarter of an hour. After speaking, he directly left. The battle with Wang Lushan had already been arranged, and could begin tomorrow. Xiao Chen also took advantage of this last bit of time to begin adjusting his condition in preparation for tomorrow's battle. While Xiao Chen was preparing for tomorrow's battle, Wang Lushan, who had already exited his seclusion, was sitting in the hall with a prospective saint of the Power King Pavilion standing respectfully below him. Looking at Wang Lushan, the prospective saint said, "Senior brother, Xiao Chun has already agreed to tomorrow's battle." Previously, Xiao Chun had agreed to tomorrow's battle. This matter naturally had to be reported to Wang Lushan as soon as possible so that he could prepare early. However, Wang Lushan replied calmly, "I already expected this. The human race has chosen Xiao Chun. I'm quite interested in him, but I didn't expect him to actually take the initiative to challenge me. All right, let me see with my own eyes tomorrow just how strong the chosen on the saint ranking who has been in the limelight recently is." Wang Lushan, who was tall and burly and had a somewhat dark complexion, had the appearance of a typical barbarian. At this moment, a faint smile hung on his face. Wang Lushan was naturally not afraid of Xiao Chen's challenge. In fact, he was even a little excited. The barbarians were all warlike, and Wang Lushan was naturally no exception. To be able to fight with Xiao Chen was indeed a refreshing thing for Wang Lushan. It was precisely because of this that when he heard that Xiao Chen had come to challenge him, Wang Lushan, who was still in closed-door training, immediately chose to come out. Like Xiao Chen, Wang Lushan had also recently broken through to the Sage-to-Be realm. After breaking through, Wang Lushan naturally wanted to find a suitable opponent to see how strong he was now. The arrival of Xiao Chen was just right. As for winning or losing, Wang Lushan had not thought about it. In any case, in his opinion, winning or losing depended on one's strength. If one was strong, then one should win. If one was weak, then one deserved to lose. Both Xiao Chun and Wang Lushan had agreed to tomorrow's battle. Soon, this news spread throughout the Power King Pavilion. Every disciple was extremely excited. After a silent night, the next morning, when the sky had just lit up, the Power King Pavilion was completely in an uproar. Countless disciples went to the martial arts arena. The barbarians were worthy of being called the most warlike race. The martial arts arena of the Power King Pavilion was not an arena, but a tall mountain peak. Behind the Power King Pavilion, there was a stretch of bare mountains. These bare mountains were not high, and their area was not large. These barren mountains were the martial arts arena of the Power King Pavilion. This time, the battle between Xiao Chun and Wang Lushan was arranged on the largest bare mountain. Within the Power King Pavilion, this barren mountain was called the #1 martial arts arena. Its area was the largest, and, at the same time, it was also protected by a formation. The formation of the Power King Pavilion was obviously not comparable to that of the 100 Flowers Villa. The formation that was engraved around the #1 martial arts arena was an ancient formation. Even a half-step great sage would find it difficult to break it. Therefore, Xiao Chun and Wang Lushan could fight back. As time passed, more and more disciples of the Power King Pavilion gathered together. Everyone was waiting for the arrival of Xiao Chun and Wang Lushan. At this time, in Xiao Chun's residence, after a night of adjustment, Xiao Chun had also adjusted his condition to the peak. When he walked out of the room, he saw Zhou Meng waiting for him at a glance. Seeing Xiao Chun, Zhou Meng also stood up and smiled. "Are you all ready?" Hearing this, Xiao Chun nodded. Then, the two of them walked towards the martial arts arena of the Power King Pavilion. The battle between Xiao Chun and Wang Lushan could be said to be the focus of attention. Before it started, it had already attracted the attention of many people. Even the experts of the Power King Pavilion were secretly watching. The agreed time was noon. As time passed, Xiao Chun and Zhou Meng arrived at the martial arts arena first. Without any nonsense, Xiao Chun directly stepped on a #1 martial arts arena, which was the largest bare mountain peak. Wang Lushan had not arrived yet, so Xiao Chun also closed his eyes and waited quietly, begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendation. Chapter 1408. Xiao Chun stood alone on stage 1, surrounded by disciples of the Power King Pavilion. Countless pairs of eyes fell on Xiao Chun. Everyone wanted to see with their own eyes what kind of person this chosen who had recently been in the limelight on the Saint rankings was. His clothes were as white as snow, and his hair was as black as ink. His face was handsome, but his figure was too thin. In the barbarian tribe, such a thin figure was not acceptable. The first impression the disciples of the Power King Pavilion had of Xiao Chun was that he was thin, but what could they do? Xiao Chun was not from the barbarian tribe. Moreover, even if Xiao Chun had the ability to strengthen his body, Xiao Chun would not do so. If Xiao Chun was as tall and burly as the barbarian tribe, even Xiao Chun would not be able to accept it. What a joke! The barbarian tribe was already unbearably burly. Xiao Chun did not know what the disciples of the Power King Pavilion thought of him, but even if he knew, he would not care. After all, to them, Xiao Chun was just a passerby. Moreover, Xiao Chun did not plan to stay in the barbarian tribe's territory for long. After challenging Wang Lushan, Xiao Chun would only travel around the barbarian tribe's territory before heading to the territories of other races. They did not have to wait for long. Soon, Wang Lushan appeared on stage number 1. As soon as Wang Lushan appeared, the disciples of the Power King Pavilion cheered in unison. Although Wang Lushan was not the strongest chosen on the Saint rankings, he was still very popular in the Power King Pavilion. Everyone cheered, but Wang Lushan did not change his expression. His eyes fell on Xiao Chun, and a smile appeared on his face. Xiao Chun, I've heard a lot about you. Recently, Xiao Chun had really been in the limelight on the Saint rankings. If one were to ask who had improved the fastest on the Saint rankings, it would undoubtedly be Xiao Chun. Hearing Wang Lushan's words, Xiao Chun said calmly, "Do you care about these false reputations?" He did not become arrogant because of these false reputations. Xiao Chun knew very well that these things were false and useless. Strength was king. Hearing Xiao Chun's words, Wang Lushan laughed heartily. "Aha, interesting. In that case, come at me." As he spoke, a terrifying aura rose from Wang Lushan's body. He had reached the sage-to-be. Just the aura that Wang Lushan had erupted proved that he was stronger than Zhou Ming. However, wasn't such an opponent what Xiao Chun needed the most. Therefore, Xiao Chun did not back down when he sensed Wang Lushan's terrifying aura. An aura that was not weaker than Wang Lushan's also rose from Xiao Chun's body. The sage-to-be. Xiao Chun had reached the sage-to-be. The surrounding disciples of the Power King Pavilion were stunned when they sensed Xiao Chun's aura. Xiao Chun had definitely not been on the Saint rankings for a long time. Most people knew that Xiao Chun's cultivation was only at the perfection stage of the Tao Emperor realm. But now, Xiao Chun was clearly a sage-to-be. The speed of his breakthrough was a little too fast, and it shocked everyone present. On the other hand, Wang Lushan's expression did not change too much. Xiao Chun's breakthrough was within Wang Lushan's expectations. Otherwise, how could Xiao Chun have taken the initiative to challenge him before he had broken through to the sage-to-be? Surmounting a realm of cultivation to battle didn't exist on the Saint rankings. If one wanted to win, the most basic condition was to have a similar cultivation. So, Wang Lushan had guessed that Xiao Chun's cultivation was very likely to have broken through to the sage-to-be before the battle began. Interesting. Xiao Chun, I hope you won't disappoint me. Wang Lushan laughed heartily, and then he took the initiative to attack. He suddenly charged towards Xiao Chun. The strongest aspect of the barbarian race was their physical strength. So, the barbarian race could practically break through all techniques with brute force. They didn't use any fancy moves at all. It was a simple punch without any fancy moves. However, the strength of this punch was terrifying to the extreme, and space started to shatter inch by inch. The attack hadn't arrived yet, but the terrifying aura had completely enveloped Xiao Chun. No one had expected Xiao Chun's actions when facing Wang Lushan's punch. Xiao Chun didn't dodge, nor did he draw his sword. Instead, his entire body shone brightly with golden light as he met Wang Lushan's punch with a fierce punch. Xiao Chun pushed the tempered battle body to the extreme. In terms of physical strength, Xiao Chun wasn't inferior to anyone, even the barbarian race. After so many years, Xiao Chun had personally experienced the terror of the tempered battle body. So, from the beginning, Xiao Chun planned to have a head-on collision with Wang Lushan. Rich golden light enveloped Xiao Chun's body. As his opponent, Wang Lushan also felt the terrifying physical strength of Xiao Chun. A hint of doubt flashed in his eyes. He knew more about Xiao Chun's swordsmanship than his physical strength. Although Xiao Chun's physical strength was also very strong, it hadn't received much attention. After all, everyone thought that Xiao Chun was a swordsman. Wang Lushan could clearly feel that the physical strength of Xiao Chun's physical strength had already surpassed that of many disciples in the Power King Pavilion. Haha, interesting. Take my punch. Wang Lushan didn't expect Xiao Chun to have such a strong physical strength. His fighting spirit soared, and he punched without hesitation. Both of them punched at the same time, and the two fists collided in the air. Then there was a loud bang. Smoke and dust filled the air, and the space collapsed inch by inch. The power of this punch wasn't inferior to a divine-level martial skill. Xiao Chun and Wang Lushan's figures disappeared under the smoke and dust. But soon, a disciple of the Power King Pavilion shouted in surprise. "Look over there!" At first, no one saw the two figures because of the smoke and dust. But as the smoke and dust slowly dispersed, Xiao Chun and Wang Lushan were already fighting fiercely. There weren't any fancy movements. Every move seemed incomparably simple, but it carried a terrifying might. It was a pure physical collision, and there was no technique to speak of. But it was a real fight, and the disciples of the Power King Pavilion felt their blood boiling. The barbarians revered strength, so their battles were also the simplest and most brutal. At that moment, Xiao Chun, who was a human, was actually fighting Wang Lushan's physical body head-on. They were clashing physically. Bang, bang, bang. Both of them were extremely fast, and their strength was also extremely great. As the fierce fight continued, the first battle stage was already filled with gravel. This, Xiao Chun's physical strength, is so strong. Many disciples of the Power King Pavilion exclaimed as they watched the battle between the two. They were shocked by the strength of Xiao Chun's physical body. It was indeed shocking that a human could possess such a powerful physical body. Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. Chapter 1409. As a human, Xiao Chun actually possessed such terrifying physical strength that even many disciples of the Power King Pavilion were terrified. Those who originally thought that Xiao Chun was too thin and mocked Xiao Chun for not being able to withstand a single blow shut their mouths one by one. What a joke! If they went up against someone who could exchange blows with Wang Lushan, they would probably be blown apart by Xiao Chun in a single punch. The battle had only just begun, but it had already made everyone's blood boil. This kind of bloody battle where fists met flesh was what the barbarians loved the most. There were no fancy attacks, only a pure collision of strength. However, even though Xiao Chun had the temper battle body, he still gradually fell into a disadvantageous position in the battle of physical strength. The tempered battle body was very strong, but the barbarians were born with a strong physical body. It could be said that it was a unique talent of the barbarians. Therefore, it was impossible to rely on physical strength to defeat a barbarian holy son like Wang Lushan. However, after this battle, Xiao Chun also had a deeper understanding of the temper battle body. He did not let himself down. Although there was still a gap between him and Wang Lushan, Xiao Chun did not care. The barbarian's physical body was strong to begin with. The fact that he could achieve this was enough to show how terrifying the tempered battle body was. In the fierce battle, Wang Lushan gradually gained the upper hand and began to suppress Xiao Chun. However, just when everyone thought that Wang Lushan was going to take down Xiao Chun in one fell swoop, Wang Lushan suddenly stopped attacking. Draw your sword. As a sword cultivator, if you don't draw your sword, Xiao Chun, you're no match for me. Wang Lushan was also shocked by Xiao Chun's physical strength, but that was all. In terms of physical strength, Wang Lushan definitely suppressed Xiao Chun. Since Wang Lushan was going to fight, he was naturally going to go all out. Wang Lushan did not like the fact that Xiao Chun was going to fight him with only his physical strength because he still had some trump cards that he had not used yet. Hearing Wang Lushan's words, Xiao Chun did not stubbornly insist on fighting Wang Lushan physically. With a thought, the dustless sword appeared in his hand. With the dustless sword in hand, Xiao Chun's aura instantly became fierce. It was completely different from before. With the dustless sword in hand, Xiao Chun finally showed his true strength. Sensing the sharp sword while emanating from Xiao Chun, a smile appeared on Wang Lushan's face. This was the feeling he was looking for. Xiao Chun was very strong, but it was precisely because of this that Wang Lushan was interested in fighting. Otherwise, if Xiao Chun was too weak, Wang Lushan might not even be interested in fighting. Haha, that's what makes it interesting. Xiao Chun, you're very good. Wang Lushan's aura soared once more. It was clear that he had not used his full strength just now. In the eyes of Xiao Chun and Wang Lushan, the previous fierce battle was just a warm-up. This was the real battle. In fact, it was much more terrifying than before. Xiao Chun's sword domain and the law of gravity instantly spread out. However, Wang Lushan was enveloped by the sword domain and the law of gravity and did not seem to have any effect on him. The sword domain and the law of gravity could not suppress Wang Lushan at all. This was what the barbarians called breaking all laws with brute force. The barbarians did not like to comprehend the sword domain and the power of law. In their opinion, it was better to improve their own strength than to spend a lot of time comprehending these things. As long as they were strong enough, they would naturally not be afraid of these things. Wang Lushan had naturally reached the level of breaking all laws with brute force. The sword domain and the law of gravity were useless against him. He was not affected at all. He directly attacked Xiao Chun with his fist. Seeing this, Xiao Chun also slashed out with his sword. The sword light flashed, but it was shattered by Wang Lushan's fist. The fierce battle continued, but this time, Xiao Chun and Wang Lushan's aura had indeed improved a lot. The terrifying power of each blow was enough to make even a saint tremble. The fist and the sword collided constantly, and the terrifying aftershocks constantly impacted the formation. Fortunately, the formation of the Power King Pavilion was strong. Otherwise, it would not have been able to withstand the aftershocks of the battle. The fierce battle continued. Xiao Chun used all kinds of terrifying martial techniques one after another. Wang Lushan, on the other hand, relied on his iron fists to contend with him. He did not fall into a disadvantage at all. Very quickly, for hours had passed, and there was still no sign of a victor being decided between the two of them. However, such a long and intense battle did not make the surrounding crowd feel bored. On the contrary, everyone was extremely excited as they watched the battle between the two of them. Strong, they were really too strong. Such a battle was not something that could be seen at any time. After 4 hours of fierce battle, Xiao Chun already knew that his strength had improved a lot after breaking through to the Sage-to-Be realm. His strength was very close to Wang Lushan's. It could be said that they were almost evenly matched. At this point, Xiao Chun also knew that it would be difficult to determine the winner if they did not use their trump cards. After slashing out with his sword and forcing Wang Lushan to retreat, Xiao Chun said, "Let's decide the winner with one move." There was no point in continuing the battle. It was difficult to determine the winner, so it was better to decide the winner with one move. Hearing Xiao Chun's words, Wang Lushan did not refuse and nodded. Okay. As he spoke, Wang Lushan's aura began to rise. At the same time, streaks of earthy yellow spiritual energy gathered wildly on his right fist. Before he punched out, the terrifying aura was enough to make countless people tremble in fear. This was Wang Lushan's strongest punch, and Xiao Chun was not about to let his guard down when faced with such a punch. He slowly pointed with his finger, and the cyan sword will continue to compress at the tip of his finger, eventually forming a cyan light spot. With a point of his finger, the moist sword finger was instantly displayed. During this period, Xiao Chun naturally did not neglect the cultivation of his martial techniques. The moist sword finger, a middle sacred level martial technique, had been cultivated by Shao Chun to the perfection level. The Moxie sword finger that had reached the transformative level was naturally several times more powerful than before. At this moment, as the finger was pointed out, a green sword beam streaked across the sky. The space collapsed, and the sky seemed to be covered by the green light. A sword piercing the sky. Shao Chen's finger indeed carried a trace of such power. However, in the face of Shao Chen's finger, Wang Lushan did not have the slightest intention of retreating. He fiercely punched out, and a yellow light bloomed. At the same time, an iron fist formed by spiritual energy violently bombarded the green sword light. When the fist and the sword collided, the dazzling light made it impossible for people to open their eyes. The terrifying aftershocks were rampant in the array. As for Shao Chun and Wang Lushan's figures, they had long been swallowed by it. This was the strongest attack of the two. With such a terrifying power, even an expert of the Perfect Saint realm would not dare to take it head-on. Please add it to your collection. Monthly vote. Recommended. Chapter 1410. The green sword chi and the yellow fist print collided fiercely. Terrifying shockwaves spread out wildly. The light was so dazzling that people couldn't open their eyes. Although there was the protection of the array and the shockwaves didn't spread to the surroundings, the ground of the first battle stage collapsed in an instant. The first battle stage was directly smashed into pieces by the collision of the two. The light was blinding and sand filled the air. No one could see Shao Chun and Wang Lushan's figures at all. Only when the light slowly dissipated did everyone look at the first stage. However, the first stage had already been razed to the ground. Sand filled the air. No one could see Shao Chun and Wang Lushan's figures at all. How was it? What was the result? Someone could not help but ask. However, no one could answer that question. No one knew what the result was. Everyone waited nervously. Time slowly passed. Around 15 minutes later, the sand finally dispersed. Shao Chun and Wang Lushan appeared before everyone once more. The two of them stood back to back. There was still a trace of blood at the corner of Shao Chen's mouth. Clearly, he had been injured by Wang Lushan's punch. On the other hand, there was a bloody hole in Wang Lushan's chest. Blood constantly flowed out. Shao Chen's moist sword finger had probably injured him. It could be said that both sides were injured. However, no one could tell who had won. Under everyone's nervous gazes, Shao Chen's body trembled slightly as if he was about to fall. However, Shao Chun quickly stabilized himself. He struggled to maintain his standing posture. He didn't fall down, but Wang Lushan was different. He didn't move at all. Everyone only saw Wang Lushan's body fall straight back. There was no expression in his eyes. Clearly, Wang Lushan had lost consciousness. He had directly fainted. Wang Lushan crashed to the ground. The outcome was clear. Shao Chun had defeated Wang Lushan by a hair's breadth. Seeing Wang Lushan fall to the ground, the disciples of the Power King Pavilion were in disbelief. Before the battle, they all thought that Wang Lushan would definitely win. Who would have thought that the final victor would be Shao Chun? In such an intense battle, it could be said that both of them had used all their means and exerted all their strength. In the end, Shao Chun was still a little more skilled and won. However, as Wang Lushan fell to the ground, Shao Chun also fell to the ground. His face was extremely pale. Shao Chun had been pushed to his limits in this battle. Wang Lushan's combat strength was indeed very strong. No wonder he was ranked 52nd on the Saint ranking. He immediately tossed a healing pill into his mouth. At this moment, the Saint rankings appeared in the sky once again. Shao Chun had successfully replaced Wang Lushan as the 52nd chosen on the Saint rankings. The Saint rankings changed once more. Shao Chun's ranking rose once more. This time, Shao Chun's ranking had clearly attracted the attention of many people. In the Xianyuan clan of the human race, Xianyuan Baijian clenched his fists as he stared at Shao Chun's name in the sky. Dense killing intent madly condensed around him. The faster Shao Chun improved, the more dangerous Xianyuan Baijian felt. The killing intent in his heart grew denser as well. Compared to Xianyuan Baijian, in the Dragon Clan, Long Yang smiled faintly when he saw the changes on the Saint rankings. Not bad. Brother Xiao Chun has defeated Wang Lushan. It looks like he has broken through to the half-saint realm. Long Yang wanted Xiao Chun to become the celestial saint as soon as possible. Now, Xiao Chun was already ranked 52nd on the saint rankings. He wasn't far from becoming the celestial saint. However, the real challenge was only about to begin. After all, the higher the ranking of the chosen on the saint rankings, the more difficult it would be to defeat them. It wouldn't be easy. People throughout the central world were paying attention to the changes on the saint rankings. Everyone had different thoughts. However, Xiao Chun clearly didn't know about this, nor was he in the mood to think about it. After all, Xiao Chun was currently recuperating in the Power King Pavilion. Xiao Chun had indeed won the battle against Wang Lushan, but Xiao Chun had paid a huge price for it. He was heavily injured as well, so he wasn't in a hurry to leave the Power King Pavilion. Instead, he chose to stay and recuperate. Just as Zhou Meng had said, Xiao Chun's victory over Wang Lushan had exceeded the expectations of many disciples of the Power King Pavilion, but no one came looking for trouble with Xiao Chun. After all, Xiao Chun had relied on his own strength to defeat Wang Lushan. Even if there were people who weren't convinced, they couldn't find any excuse to take revenge on Xiao Chun. No one came to disturb him, which was exactly what Xiao Chun wanted. This was for the best. After staying in the Power King Pavilion for 8 days, Xiao Chun's injuries recovered quickly. During this time, Tong Huang and some of his old friends from the North Star world also came to visit Xiao Chun. Although they had joined the Power King Pavilion, they didn't have any hostility toward Xiao Chun. After all, they were all from the North Star world and could be considered old friends. 8 days passed, and Xiao Chun planned to leave the Power King Pavilion. During this time, the Vice Pavilion Master of the Power King Pavilion also came to look for Xiao Chun once. He didn't say anything special, merely representing the Power King Pavilion to take a look at Xiao Chun's injuries. Early in the morning, when Xiao Chun was about to leave, Tong Huang and the others came to send him off. As for Zhou Meng, he also needed to return to the Barbarian God sect. Xiao Chun, where do you plan to go next? Outside the Power King Pavilion's entrance, Tong Huang looked at Xiao Chun and asked. Facing Tong Huang's question, Xiao Chun had no intention of hiding anything. Smiling faintly as he answered, I should be tempering myself in the barbarian race's territory for a while. Then I'll head to the heavenly race's territory. After that, I'll make a detour to the beast race's territory to return to the human race. Xiao Chun's itinerary this time wasn't complicated, and Xiao Chun didn't plan to visit some of the races that were hostile to the human race. Therefore, Xiao Chun had decided to start from the barbarian race's territory, then head to the heavenly race's territory to check on Tian Yu's situation. Lastly, he would make a detour to the beast race's territory to return to the human race. It was a very simple itinerary, only passing through the territories of 4 races. Of course, this was also for safety reasons. Xiao Chun didn't plan to visit races that had a tense relationship with the human race. After all, if there was danger, it would be troublesome. Even with the will of the Heavenly Way's protection, Xiao Chun wouldn't be able to do anything if some experts were willing to exchange their lives for his. Therefore, safety was his top priority. Hearing Xiao Chun's words, Tong Huang nodded slightly. Then be careful. Brother Xiao Chun, take care. Brother Tong Huang too, take care. Xiao Chun replied. After bidding farewell to Tong Huang and the others, Xiao Chun left the Power King Pavilion, beginning his training in the barbarian race's territory. Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. Chapter 14:11. It had been nearly 2 months since he entered the barbarian race's territory. During this time, Xiao Chun had challenged Zhou Meng and Wang Lushan. His ranking on the Saint rankings had also risen from 79th to 52nd. However, after continuously challenging Zhou Meng and Wang Lushan, Xiao Chun no longer had a suitable target among the 10 barbarian race holy sons. They were either too strong or too weak. Xiao Chun did not intend to challenge the powerful barbarian race holy sons because the gap between them was too great. The weakest one was ranked in the top 30. If he challenged them at this time, Shao Chun would be purely looking for a beating. As for the weaker Holy Sons, their rankings on the Saint rankings were not as good as Shao Chen's. Thus, there was no point in challenging them. There were no barbarian race Holy Sons who were close to Shao Chun in terms of ranking and strength. Therefore, Shao Chun planned to fight in the divine race's territory. Of course, before that, Shao Chun also planned to train in the barbarian race's territory. After all, the goal of this training trip was to raise his ranking on the Saint rankings. However, raising his own strength could not be ignored. After all, if his own strength did not increase, then how could Shao Chun challenge the Holy Sons who were ranked higher on the Saint rankings? The barbarian race's territory was larger than the human race's territory. There are also some famous training grounds. However, Shao Chun did not go to any of the barbarian race's territory. On the contrary, Shao Chun seemed to be aimlessly training in the barbarian race's territory. Wherever he went, he would go. Along the way from the Power King Pavilion, Shao Chun passed by one barbarian town and tribe after another. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, more than a month had passed. During this month, the Saint rankings had undergone earth-shaking changes. Many old Holy Sons were kicked out of the Saint rankings, and many new faces stepped onto the Saint rankings. Among these new faces were Chun Ling, Long Qing, Tian Yu, and Chun Yu. When he saw their names appear one after another on the Saint leaderboard, a smile appeared on Shao Chen's face. Actually, Chun Ling and the others had the qualifications to ascend the hallowed rankings since a long time ago. Unfortunately, the four of them didn't seem to be interested in it. The reason they were able to ascend the hallowed rankings this time was probably because the four of them had coincidentally defeated a chosen on the hallowed rankings. Of course, the four of them were not the only new saints on the Saint rankings. It was the same for people from other races. Almost every race had new faces on the Saint rankings. That was how the holy rankings worked. Everything depended on one's strength. If one's strength was not up to par, even if one was a veteran son of the holy rankings, it was very likely that one would be kicked out of the holy rankings. Only the capable would be able to take the top spot. This was the purpose of the will of the Heavenly Ways holy rankings. All in all, in just over a month's time, the holy rankings had undergone a huge change. This was probably the result of the integration of the four major astral realms and the central world. Of course, the biggest changes were the saints who were ranked at the bottom of the holy rankings. For example, Shao Chun was currently ranked 52nd. The saints on the holy rankings during this period didn't change much. After all, it was impossible for the new saints on the holy rankings to be ranked in the 50s right from the start. As for the Big Dipper saints who were ranked in the top 36, they weren't affected at all. After all, the Big Dipper saint's strength was already significantly different from the Earth Emanation saints. The new saints on the holy rankings wouldn't be a threat to them. The changes on the holy rankings had indeed caused quite a stir. However, after feeling happy for Chun Ling and the others in the beginning, Shao Chun soon stopped paying attention to the changes on the holy rankings. After all, no matter how the holy rankings changed, what Shao Chun needed to do now was to continuously increase his strength and become a Big Dipper saint as soon as possible. The names on the holy rankings continued to change every day. From time to time, a screen of the holy rankings would appear in the sky. However, Shao Chun didn't care about this at all. During this period of time, Shao Chun entered the largest mountain range in the barbarian race's territory. Shao Chun planned to cross this mountain range. After all, as long as he passed through this mountain range, Shao Chun would be able to enter the Sky race's territory. It was called the Sky Barbaric Mountain Range. The Sky Barbaric Mountain Range was the dividing line between the Sky race and the barbarian race's territory. It was said that there were many precious spirit herbs and spirit fruits in the Sky Barbaric Mountain Range. Therefore, although the Sky Barbaric Mountain Range was huge, it wasn't actually desolate. One could encounter barbarian race and sky race martialists from time to time. Martialists from both races liked to enter the Sky Barbaric Mountain Range. Firstly, it was for power. Secondly, it was to try their luck and see if they could find some precious spirit herbs and spirit fruits. They had been traveling in the sky, barbaric mountain range for about 10 days. Since leaving the Power King Pavilion, Xiao Chun had been cultivating in the barbarian race's territory for 3 months. It had been about half a year since he left the human race's territory. Half a year seemed very short, but Xiao Chun's progress was undoubtedly huge. Not only had his cultivation improved, but Xiao Chun had also made great progress in other aspects. During these 3 months, Xiao Chun had experienced many battles. There were fights with some barbarian race's bandits and disputes with some barbarian race's tribes. In general, Xiao Chun had spent most of these 3 months cultivating and fighting. After all, he was in the barbarian race's territory. Although the barbarian race did not hate the human race, as a human wandering alone in the barbarian race's territory, the barbarian race's forces would not show any mercy. Therefore, battles were inevitable. It was in such constant battles that Xiao Chun's strength improved every day. Cultivation, martial skills, and so on were all improving. Xiao Chun had already practiced the scorching sun swordsmanship and the absolute yin footwork, the 2 mid-level saint-level martial arts techniques that Yin Yangzi had given him to perfection. Their power had increased several times over. As for the moist sword hair, Xiao Chun had practiced it to perfection. At this time, Xiao Chun had already begun to practice the 8th finger of the 9-heaven sword finger, the red cloud sword finger. At night, in the silent sky barbaric mountain range, Xiao Chun sat cross-legged on a branch of a big tree. He was breathing evenly as he cultivated. However, in this quiet night, a faint sound of fighting was suddenly heard. It was obvious that there were people fighting in the surroundings. Feeling this, Xiao Chun slowly opened his eyes. Originally, this kind of fighting was not rare in the sky barbaric mountain range. After all, there were not only the barbarian race in the sky barbaric mountain range, but also the Tian race. It was very common for warriors of the 2 races to fight over some precious spiritual grass and spiritual fruit. However, Xiao Chun sensed that there should be a large number of people fighting between the 2 sides. There should be at least a few hundred people. With such a large-scale fight, the things they found would not be simple. Please collect, please vote, please recommend. Chapter 14:12. A chaotic battle between hundreds of people. They must have found something good. Otherwise, it would not have caused such a large-scale, chaotic battle. Thinking of this, the corners of Xiao Chun's mouth curled into a smile. Then, he moved, and under the cover of the night, he quickly rushed towards the source of the battle. The distance was not far. Soon, Xiao Chun arrived at the periphery of a small hill. He hid in a big tree and tried his best to restrain his aura as he looked towards the direction of the small hill. At a glance, he saw hundreds of people fighting crazily with the small hill as the center. There should be a total of 2 sides, the barbarian clan side and the Tian clan side. The martial warriors of the 2 clans were fighting with each other, but judging from their actions, both sides were deliberately avoiding the small hill, afraid that the aftermath of the battle would cause any harm to the small hill. They could actually avoid the small hill during the battle. In this way, there should be some precious spirit fruit or spirit herb on the small hill. Therefore, both parties were unwilling to let it be destroyed. After watching the battle between the 2 parties, there really were experts here. The barbarian race had 2 quasi-saint great venerables, and the celestial race also had 1 quasi-saint great venerables. However, judging from the battle, the quasi-saint great venerables of the celestial race were obviously stronger. At the very least, he had reached the perfection of the quasi-saint realm. He was not at a disadvantage when fighting against 2 opponents. In addition to the top 3 quasi-saint great venerables, there were even more saints, half-saints, and Tao emperors below them. With so many experts gathered together, Xiao Chun looked forward to the treasure here even more. What kind of good thing could attract so many experts to fight over it? Moreover, from the looks of it, neither side was willing to give in. Retracting his gaze from the experts of both parties, Xiao Chun looked at the small hill in the distance. In fact, there was nothing special about the small hill, but there was a small tree at the top of the hill. But just as Xiao Chun's gaze fell on the small tree, A golden fruit at the top of the branch attracted Xiao Chen's attention. After taking a closer look, Xiao Chen's face suddenly changed. He was excited as he stared at the golden fruit. Xiao Chen said in disbelief, "This is the barbarian god's fruit." He had seen the introduction of the barbarian god's fruit in an ancient book. It was an extremely rare spirit fruit that could only be found by chance. The barbarian god's fruit was extremely useful for body-refining martial artists. In the barbarian race, the barbarian god's fruit was definitely the strongest spirit fruit. Of course, the barbarian god's fruit was not only the barbarian race, but also Xiao Chen. The barbarian god's fruit was extremely useful for the cultivation of the tempered battle body. If Xiao Chen had a barbarian god fruit, he might not be able to reach the 4th level of the tempered battle body, the undying realm, but he would definitely be able to reach the limit of the 3rd level of the celestial realm. He did not expect that there would be a barbarian god's fruit here. It was an irresistible temptation for Xiao Chen. He was already tempted by the barbarian god's fruit. Who in the world would not be tempted by the barbarian god's fruit? Therefore, even though there were hundreds of experts around, Xiao Chen had already begun to think about how to obtain the barbarian god's fruit. It was impossible to snatch it by force. After all, there were many experts in the two races. There were 3 quasi-saint great venerables, more than 30 saint realm experts, and more than 100 half-saint and Dao emperor realm experts. It was impossible for Xiao Chen to snatch it by force in the face of such a force. Should I wait until both sides are injured before making a move? Xiao Chen thought to himself. But on second thought, this was not realistic. First of all, it would be impossible for the two sides to come to a conclusion in a short period of time. Moreover, Xiao Chen estimated that one side would have to pay a price in the end, which would be equivalent to buying the barbarian god fruit. That would be the end of it. Once the final result was like that, Xiao Chen would have no chance at all. So, it was not realistic to wait until both sides were injured. That did not seem to be a good way. Xiao Chen was alone. It was indeed too difficult for him to obtain the barbarian god's fruit under the noses of both sides. Xiao Chen continued to ponder in his heart. After a while, a bright light suddenly flashed through his eyes. He had an idea. Even though it was still dangerous, it was at least possible. Currently, the two sides could be said to be locked in battle. In this way, if one side suddenly became stronger and the balance was broken, what would the result be? Since they already had the advantage, it was obvious that there would be no reconciliation. The stronger side would definitely force the other side to retreat and enjoy the barbarian god's fruit alone. Xiao Chen's method was actually not complicated. This was the heavenly barbarian mountain range, and there were many barbarian race experts here. If Xiao Chen could attract another group of barbarian race experts, at that time, the barbarian race's strength would surpass the Tian clans, and the victor would definitely be decided. At that time, the Tian clan would definitely not be able to win and could only choose to retreat. The barbarian race would definitely chase after them, and at that time, the victor would be decided. The barbarian race's protection of the barbarian god's fruit would be a vacuum. After all, at that time, the barbarian race experts would definitely be busy chasing after the Tian clan. They would all think that the barbarian god's fruit was already in their pockets, so they would definitely be careless and make a mistake. What Xiao Chen needed to do was to grab hold of this flaw and snatch the barbarian god's fruit before the barbarian race experts returned from chasing after the Tian clan. Then, he would directly escape into the Tian clan's territory. At that time, even if the barbarian race experts reacted, they would not be able to do anything to Xiao Chen. This was the only feasible plan. Only in this way would Xiao Chen have a chance. Of course, the process was also extremely dangerous. Just think about it. If Xiao Chen was unable to snatch the barbarian god's fruit before the barbarian race experts returned, then when the barbarian race experts returned, Xiao Chen would be in danger. At that time, he probably wouldn't be able to leave even if he wanted to. Time was of the essence, and it all depended on whether Xiao Chen could successfully snatch the barbarian god's fruit in this short period of time and escape into the Tian clan's territory. The method was feasible, but the process was too dangerous. Any mistake was enough to cause Xiao Chun to lose his life. However, in the face of the temptation of the barbarian god's fruit, Xiao Chun was willing to take the risk. A fierce glint flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes as he said in a deep voice, "I don't care anymore. I'll take the risk. Wealth comes from danger. If I can obtain this barbarian god's fruit, my temper battle body can at least reach the limit of the third heavenly body." Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. Chapter 14:13. At a time like this, when faced with such powerful forces from both sides, the most logical thing to do would be to quietly retreat. However, the barbarian god fruit was too attractive to Xiao Chun. It was so attractive that Xiao Chun was willing to risk his life for it. A cultivator's cultivation was never simple. Any resources had to be fought for with one's own hands. Now, there was an irresistible barbarian god fruit in front of him. Although retreating was the safest option, it also meant that he would miss out on such a treasure. With Xiao Chen's personality, he obviously wouldn't allow a treasure like the barbarian god fruit to slip away from him. Therefore, even though it was dangerous, Xiao Chun was still willing to give it a try. After taking a deep look at the small tree on the small hill and the golden fruit on the tree, Xiao Chun slowly disappeared into the darkness. He wanted to attract other barbarian race experts and break the balance between both sides. He wanted to make them lose the chance to negotiate. At the same time, he wanted to make the barbarian race experts chase after the sky race experts. Therefore, this short period of time was the best time for Xiao Chun to make his move. In the darkness, groups of people who were resting in the Sky Barbarian Mountain Range received news that a treasure had appeared. It was said that it was a barbarian god fruit. This news was naturally released by Xiao Chun. How could these barbarian race experts hold back when they heard that the barbarian god fruit had appeared? To the barbarian race, the barbarian god fruit was the #1 treasure in the world. Nothing could compare to it. After all, the barbarian god fruit's main use was to temper the body. The most powerful part was the body. Therefore, the barbarian god fruit was the most precious treasure in the world to the barbarian race. Groups of barbarian race experts rushed towards the small hill. There were hundreds of them. At this point, Xiao Chun didn't continue to spread the news. The addition of these people was enough to break the balance. What Xiao Chun needed to do now was to return to the small hill and wait for the battle to end. When the barbarian race experts began to chase after him, that would be the time for Xiao Chun to make his move. Just like before, they quietly hid outside the small hill. At this time, the brute tribe experts who were attracted by Xiao Chun also joined the battle. Although there was only one barbarian god fruit, and even after defeating the Tian race, these barbarian race experts would still have to fight for a while. However, there were outsiders present, so they naturally had to deal with them first. As for their own internal matters, they would have to wait until after defeating the Tian race. It was obvious that the face of the quasi-sage great sovereign of the Tian clan was extremely ugly. Originally, the strength of both sides could be said to be on par, but hundreds of barbarian race experts had suddenly joined the battle. As a result, the Tian clan side naturally fell into a disadvantage. Their numbers had been halved, and if they continued fighting, they wouldn't be a match for the barbarians. After a while, the quasi-sage from the Celestials clenched his teeth and shouted, "Retreat!" Following these words, the experts of the Tian clan naturally retreated without the slightest hesitation. Seeing this, the two quasi-sage great sovereigns of the barbarian race were indeed as Xiao Chun had thought, and angrily shouted, "Want to leave? Kill them." The two quasi-sage great sovereigns of the barbarian race didn't have to kill all the Tian race experts. They just wanted to completely force them out of this area. After all, although the Tian race had retreated, there would definitely be a fight within the barbarian race for the barbarian god fruit. At this time, if the Tian race was still hiding in the surroundings, then the barbarian race would be in danger. Anyone could think of this point, so they had to completely force the barbarian race to leave this area. Only then could the barbarian race have peace of mind to compete for the ownership of the barbarian god fruit. As the two barbarian race experts roared, many barbarian race experts chased after them, but they also left some people behind to guard the barbarian god fruit. Of course, there weren't many of them, and it was just a saint leading 3 half-saints. The two sides, one fleeing and one chasing, quickly disappeared into the horizon. Only the intermittent aftermath of the battle continued to prove that the fierce battle between the two sides was still going on. At this time, Xiao Chun didn't care about anything else. His figure moved, and under the cover of the night, he carefully approached the top of the small hill. They didn't notice Xiao Chun at all. At this time, at the top of the small hill, the 4 barbarian race experts were greedily looking at the barbarian god fruit on the branch. The barbarian god fruit was a great temptation to them, but they weren't fools. They knew that with their strength and status, the barbarian god fruit obviously wouldn't fall into their hands. Sigh, it would be great if we could also get a barbarian god fruit. One of the half-saints sighed as he looked at the barbarian god fruit. When he heard this, the saint in the lead shouted in a low voice, "Don't think about such useless things. How could we possibly get our hands on such a treasure? Just set your mind at ease and guard this place well. The Lord will definitely not treat us unfairly when the time comes." The saint had thought things through. Without strength, taking some things was akin to courting death. But as soon as the saint finished his words, an ice-cold voice sounded from the darkness. "That's right. This thing isn't something that you can get your hands on because it's mine." The sudden voice made the saint's hair stand on end. He turned around abruptly. "Who is it?" However, before he could react, a green sword ray flashed in the darkness. Caught off guard, the green sword ray instantly pierced through the saint's head. There was no time to waste, so Xiao Chun used his killer move right away. He performed the moist sword finger and killed the saint in an instant. Seeing that the saint had been killed in an instant, the remaining 3 half-saints turned pale. At the same time, Xiao Chun strode out of the darkness. "Human? You're Xiao Chun." The 3 half-saints were puzzled at first when they saw that it was a human cultivator. But soon, one of them recognized Xiao Chun. Xiao Chun had defeated Zhou Meng and Wang Lushan in the barbarian race's territory during this period of time. Therefore, it wasn't strange for the 3 half-saints to recognize Xiao Chun. Xiao Chun remained expressionless when he heard the words of the 3 half-saints. With a thought, the dustless sword instantly appeared in his hand. Without another word, he charged toward the 3 half-saints. There wasn't much time, so he had to end the battle quickly. Therefore, Xiao Chun didn't show any mercy. He went all out from the get-go in order to kill all 3 half-saints in the shortest time possible and leave with the barbarian god fruit. Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. Chapter 14:14. Half-saint experts could be said to be unable to withstand a single blow from Xiao Chun. Although they had the same cultivation, the difference in strength was like the difference between heaven and earth. Therefore, the 3 half-saint experts could only withstand 10 moves from Xiao Chun before they were killed by Xiao Chun. After killing 1 saint and 3 half-saint experts who were in charge of guarding the barbarian god fruit, Xiao Chun leaped up and grabbed the barbarian god fruit. He threw it into his storage ring and disappeared into the darkness. Everything went smoothly. After Xiao Chun escaped with the barbarian god fruit, only 10 minutes had passed before the numerous barbarian tribe experts who had gone to chase after Xiao Chun finally returned. They had indeed chased the heavenly race experts far away. Just when the barbarian race experts thought that it was time for them to reap the rewards, who would have thought that when they returned, they would see the corpses of 4 barbarian race experts and the missing barbarian god fruit? They had been betrayed. The 2 barbarian quasi-saint great sovereigns immediately reacted. Their faces instantly darkened, and their auras soared into the sky. The terrifying pressure made it difficult for the surrounding people to resist. "Damn it, who is it? Find him. You must find him for me." The barbarian god fruit, such a precious treasure, had actually been snatched away by someone. This made the barbarian race experts burn with anger. What a joke. They had fought fiercely with the heavenly race for so long and spent so much effort to repel them. Who would have thought that in the end, they had made a wedding dress for someone else? Overnight, many barbarian race experts launched a search. Anyone suspicious had to be interrogated, including the barbarian race experts. Unfortunately, although many barbarian race experts were doing their best to search for the thief, Xiao Chun had already escaped far away from the heavenly race's territory with the barbarian god fruit. After obtaining the barbarian god fruit, Xiao Chun didn't stop at all and directly escaped to the heavenly race's territory. After several days of searching, the barbarian race experts found nothing. They didn't even find a suspicious person. There were no clues at all. Such an outcome naturally infuriated the two barbarian quasi-saint great sovereigns. However, what could they do? They had almost turned over half of the Sky Barbarian mountain range, but found nothing. In the end, the barbarian race experts could only leave the matter unsettled. However, they firmly remembered this moment in their hearts. They swore that if they had the chance to meet this thief in the future, they would cut him into pieces to vent their hatred. Xiao Chun didn't know that. Of course, Xiao Chun wasn't interested in finding out. After several days of traveling, Xiao Chun had finally entered the heavenly race's territory. After traveling for several days, Xiao Chun had finally entered the heavenly race's territory. When Xiao Chun entered the territory of the Celestials, he was also interrogated by the Celestials. However, after Xiao Chun explained his identity and intentions, the Celestials did not make things difficult for Xiao Chun and allowed him to pass without hesitation. After all, it was a very normal thing for the holy son of the saint ranking to travel between the major races. There was no need to stop him. Along the way into the heavenly race's territory, to be honest, there was no difference between the heavenly race and the human race. Other than the heavenly race's unique heavenly race mark on the forehead, the human race and the heavenly race's names were almost exactly the same. Moreover, even if it was the heavenly race mark, it wouldn't appear if one didn't activate their spiritual power. Therefore, after Xiao Chun entered the heavenly race's territory, as long as Xiao Chun didn't take the initiative to expose his aura, ordinary heavenly race people wouldn't be able to detect Xiao Chun's human race identity. Of course, this was only for ordinary heavenly race cultivators. If they encountered heavenly race experts, they would also be able to see Xiao Chun's human race identity. However, with Xiao Chun's current cultivation realm and strength, he had to be at least a quasi-saint great sovereign to be able to do this. Everything was peaceful along the way. Wherever Xiao Chun passed, many heavenly race people only treated Xiao Chun as a member of the heavenly race, which saved them a lot of trouble. 3 days later, Xiao Chun arrived at a city called Ethereal City. Ethereal City was located in the northwest of the heavenly race's territory and could be considered the largest city in the northwest. After arriving at Ethereal City, Xiao Chun wasn't in a hurry to continue his journey. Instead, he planned to refine the barbarian saint fruit and raise the level of his temper battle body first. There was still plenty of time. Only less than a year had passed from the 3 years that Long Yang had mentioned. In this way, Xiao Chun had time to cultivate. Moreover, the most important thing was to increase his strength during this experience. As for raising his ranking on the saint ranking, it was actually just a matter of convenience. After all, if one's strength was sufficient, then their ranking on the saint ranking would naturally rise. There was no need to force it. On the other hand, if one didn't have strength and still stared at the ranking on the saint ranking and daydreamed, then one could only daydream. He knew what was important and what was important. Therefore, Xiao Chun placed more importance on his own strength and not the so-called ranking on the saint ranking. He strolled around Ethereal City. As a large city of the heavenly race, Ethereal City scale was quite good and the city was very lively. On the streets, there were crowds of people coming and going, as well as the sound of hawking that reverberated in the ears. All of this showed the prosperity of the city. Just as Xiao Chun was looking for an inn, the sound of horse hooves came from behind him. A young lady in a red dress was leading the way, followed by several young men who looked like guards. They were rushing over from afar. One had to know that this was a crowded street. It was easy to injure people by riding a horse here. Moreover, the young lady wasn't riding an ordinary horse. It was a dragon horse, a mystical horse that contained a trace of the bloodline of the true dragon. The dragon horse had great strength and was extremely fast. It could even be compared to a Saint Realm expert. At the same time, its physical strength far exceeded that of a saint. The price of a dragon horse was very high. Since this young lady was able to own one, it seemed that her identity wasn't simple. However, Xiao Chun didn't care about this now. Seeing the young lady galloping over, Xiao Chun didn't have any intention of dodging. When the young lady had rushed up to him, a cold light flashed in Xiao Chun's eyes. Then a strong aura shot up to the sky from his body. Xiao Chun originally had the true dragon blood essence in his body. The true dragon blood essence had strengthened the physical body of the dragon clan. Now that it had penetrated deep into Xiao Chun's bone marrow, it had erupted. It definitely had a terrifying suppressive effect on the dragon horse. With the true dragon blood essence in Xiao Chun's body, it was impossible to suppress other beasts. However, it had the most effective suppressive effect on demonic beasts like the dragon horse, which had a trace of the true dragon blood essence in its body. Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. Chapter 14:15. A terrifying aura instantly soared into the sky. Sensing Xiao Chun's intense pressure, the dragon horse that the young girl was riding immediately stumbled and fell to the ground. To be honest, the dragon horse was not considered very powerful. The reason why it was so valuable was entirely because of its impressive appearance, super endurance, and speed. Many people rode the dragon horse only because it was a symbol of their status. There was a faint chill in his eyes. This young girl dared to gallop wildly on such a crowded street. It was obvious that she did not care about the lives of others. Moreover, when this young girl had rushed over on her horse, Xiao Chun was certain that she had no intention of stopping at all. She had clearly seen him standing there, but the young girl still did not stop. It was obvious that she did not care about his life at all. If Xiao Chun had been a person with no cultivation or a low cultivation, he would have probably been knocked to death. She did not care about others and did not know the severity of the situation. That was why Xiao Chun had decided to teach this young girl a lesson. However, as Xiao Chun's aura was exposed, the surrounding divine clan members all looked at Xiao Chun with strange expressions. Judging from the aura just now, Xiao Chun was definitely from the human clan and not the divine clan. His identity had been exposed, but Xiao Chun did not care at all. There was no difference whether his identity was exposed or not. Moreover, his identity would be exposed sooner or later. Ignoring the gazes of the surrounding people, Xiao Chun stared coldly at the young girl in front of him. In terms of looks, the young girl was not bad. At the very least, she was a beauty. However, Xiao Chun did not care about that. Facing Xiao Chun's cold gaze, the young girl who had fallen to the ground stood up angrily and scolded him in a delicate voice. "Do you want to die?" She did not realize her mistake at all. On the contrary, she blamed everything on Xiao Chun. As she spoke, the young girl had already stood up and angrily walked toward Xiao Chun. At the same time, four guards with similarly unfriendly expressions followed behind her. Looking at the young girl's appearance, the people around Xiao Chun subconsciously retreated a distance away. It was obvious that they were very afraid of this young girl. It's over. This human is finished. After offending the MO family, he's dead for sure. He's definitely dead for sure. To think that a mere human like him would dare to offend the MO family in the floating mist city. If he doesn't die, who will? As the crowd retreated, they discussed in whispers. Clearly, the young lady's status was very noble in Misty City. Nobody dared to provoke her. Actually, the young woman's name was Mo Lu Bai, and she was the little princess of Misty City's Mo clan. As for the Mo clan, it was the #1 clan in Misty City, and it could be considered a quasi-saint clan. It was precisely because of the strength of the Mo clan that Mo Lu Bai could be said to be used to being arrogant and willful in Ethereal City. Galloping wildly in the city was merely a small matter. Therefore, everyone was used to it. However, the people of the Misty Kingdom could indulge Mo Lubai, but Xiaochen obviously wouldn't. Not to mention the fact that the Mo clan was only a quasi-sage clan. So what if the Mo clan had a half-step great sage? Xiaochen was a holy disciple of the saint rankings. Who among the older generation would dare to make a move against Xiaochen? To be honest, Xiaochen wasn't afraid of saint stage experts at all. Therefore, when faced with the aggressive Mo Lubai, Xiaochen's expression naturally didn't change in the slightest as he looked at her. Mo Lubai took a few steps forward and arrived in front of Xiaochen. Her eyes were filled with killing intent as she shouted, "Human, are you courting death? Good, very good. This young lady will fulfill your wish. Seize him for me." Mo Lubai ordered the 4 guards behind her to seize Xiaochen without asking any questions. When he heard that, the coldness in Xiaochen's eyes grew even denser. When he saw the 4 Mo clan guards walking towards him, Xiaochen said indifferently, "I don't want to kill anyone, so it's best if you don't do anything." He'd only acted just now because Mo Lubai clearly intended to smash him to death. Yet now, Xiaochen didn't want to make a big deal out of the matter. After all, it was very troublesome. Unfortunately, Xiaochen's words were clearly of no use. The 4 guards didn't take Xiaochen seriously at all, and the leader immediately grabbed at Xiaochen. The 4 guards were merely at the Dao Emperor realm, and they were merely at the entry level. So, their combat strengths were extremely ordinary. Such people were no different than ants before Xiaochen. Unfortunately, these 4 ants were actually courting death and intended to make a move against Xiaochen. A wisp of killing intent flashed through Xiaochen's eyes when he saw the leader grab at him. After that, the laws of gravity instantly erupted, and the 4 of them were immediately pressed down to the ground. The 4 of them lay flat on the ground, and it was like a mountain was pressing down upon them. The ground had cracked inch by inch from the pressure, but Xiaochen had no intention of letting go. He looked down from above and gazed indifferently at the 4 guards as he spoke slowly. "I gave all of you a chance. Unfortunately, all of you didn't take it." As he spoke, Xiaochen exerted more force with the laws of gravity, and then the 4 guards were forcefully crushed apart by the terrifying force of the laws of gravity. Blood sprayed into the air, and not even corpses were left behind. Only 4 piles of minced meat were left behind. Mo Lubai was horrified when he saw Xiaochen actually dared to kill 4 of his guards. However, as the little princess of the Mo clan, he couldn't do anything because someone dared to make a move against him in Mist City. He immediately looked at Xiaochen and shouted, "You dare kill a member of my Mo clan? You're dead." Xiaochen had actually heard a little about the Mo family. After all, as the #1 family in Piamiao City, the Mo family was obviously very famous in Piamiao City. Xiaochen had heard a lot of rumors about the Mo family almost as soon as he entered the city. When he heard Mo Liubai's words, Xiaochen sneered and said, "Mo clan? Ha! Others might be afraid of your Mo clan, but I'm not. Also, your mouth is a little dirty. I'll help you change it." Mo Lubai was a classic example of a spoiled and unruly girl. Such a woman might not have a bad heart, but Xiaochen wasn't interested in talking nonsense with her. Moreover, Xiaochen wasn't interested in coaxing a child. Therefore, Xiaochen used the most direct method to deal with Mo Lubai. As soon as he finished speaking, Xiaochen's figure instantly appeared in front of Mo Lubai. Then he slapped her. With a slap, a bright red handprint appeared on Mo Liubai's face. She was slapped. The little princess of the Mo clan was actually slapped in public. When they saw Xiaochen's actions, the surrounding people were stunned on the spot. Even Mo Lubai was stunned. She even forgot about the burning pain on her face. She hadn't been slapped since she was young, so Mo Lubai didn't dare to believe that she was actually slapped. Moreover, it was in Mist City. Moreover, the person who slapped her was a human cultivator, begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. Chapter 14:16. After the slap, Xiaochen couldn't be bothered to lower himself to Mo Liubai's level. The reason he attacked was entirely because he thought Mo Lu Bai had a foul mouth. Otherwise, Xiao Chun wouldn't have any interest in hitting a girl. Mo Lu Bai returned to her senses when she saw Xiao Chun turn around to leave. She immediately used a voice transmission talisman to ask for help from her family. At the same time, she shouted at Xiao Chun with a face full of killing intent. You dare hit me? If I don't cripple you today, I won't be Mo Lu Bai. Xiao Chun already saw Mo Lu Bai use a voice transmission talisman, so he didn't even need to ask. He knew what it was used for. Xiao Chun turned around to look at Mo Lu Bai and said indifferently, "Are you sure you want me to stay? Do you think you can still leave?" Mo Lu Bai snorted coldly, and the killing intent in her eyes grew even denser. To put it bluntly, a woman like Mo Lu Bai never knew the immensity of heaven and earth. She only thought that she could be lawless because she was a member of the Mo family. Little did she know that there were many forces in the central world that could casually destroy the Mo family. To put it bluntly, the Mo family was the weakest even among the quasi-saint forces because they only had one quasi-saint supreme sovereign, and he was only at the entry stage. With such strength, it was no wonder that the Mo family could only act like a tyrant in Misty City. Unfortunately, Mo Lu Bai didn't realize this at all. It wasn't a big deal, but since Mo Lu Bai was unwilling to let it go, Xiao Chun would play with her until the end. In any case, this matter couldn't be resolved in one go. It would be even more troublesome when the time came. Completely ignoring Mo Liu Bai's murderous gaze, Xiao Chun didn't leave and just waited quietly. He wanted to see what exactly the Mo family was going to do. Seeing that Xiao Chun had actually collided with Mo Lu Bai, the numerous celestial race members in the surroundings were puzzled. Wasn't this purely courting death? A human warrior in the celestial clan had no backing in the first place. Yet Xiao Chun was still so unscrupulous. They didn't understand where Xiao Chun's confidence came from, but they clearly didn't expect that Xiao Chun wasn't without a backer. His backer was the will of the heavenly way. As a chosen on the saint rankings, Xiao Chun had nothing to fear with the will of the heavenly way protecting him. Mo Lu Bai didn't dare to attack Xiao Chun. He stared at Xiao Chun with killing intent, as if he wanted to cut Xiao Chun into pieces. The two of them looked at each other. A few hundred breaths later, a middle-aged man appeared beside Mo Lu Bai. The many surrounding Tian clan members softly spoke when they saw this middle-aged man appear. Mo family's third master. The middle-aged man was Mo Liu Bai's third uncle. Because he was ranked third in the Mo family, the people of Ethereal City called him Third Master. Third Master Mo, was at the initial sage stage and thought that he was a powerhouse. However, in Xiao Chun's opinion, this bit of cultivation was really not enough. There was a saying that if you weren't of the same family, you wouldn't enter the same family. Third Master Mo didn't ask Mo Lu Bai what had happened. Instead, he locked his gaze on Xiao Chun and shouted coldly, "Human clan cultivator? Kid, do you know what you're doing? How dare you offend my Mo family in Ethereal City and attack Lu Bai? I think you really don't know what's good for you." He didn't dare to be right or wrong. In any case, in Third Master Mo's opinion, it was Xiao Chun's fault no matter what. Hearing this, Xiao Chun sneered and said, "What a family. You're all so unreasonable. You don't know what you're talking about." "What did you say?" Third Master Mo shouted in a deep voice. As soon as Third Master Mo said that, Mo Lu Bai said coldly, "Third Uncle, why are you talking so much to him? Kill him. I want his head." Mo Liu Bai's murderous intent towards Xiao Chun had reached its peak. He didn't want to waste his breath on Xiao Chun at all. Upon hearing Mo Liu Bai's words, Third Master Mo immediately attacked and threw a punch at Xiao Chun. Facing Third Master Mo's attack, Xiao Chun didn't move at all. It was as though he had been scared silly. Could it be that this brat has been scared silly? Yeah. He's not even dodging? Sigh. It seems like he's another fool who doesn't know what's good for him. Everyone thought that Xiao Chun was scared silly. But just as Third Master Mo's fist was about to hit Xiao Chun, a long sword flickering with a faint golden light appeared in Xiao Chun's hand out of thin air. With the dustless sword in hand, Shao Chun faced Third Lord Mo's fist with a slash of his sword. The scorching sun swordsmanship was displayed immediately. That terrifying flame, spiritual power gushed out and instantly turned the surroundings into a sea of fire. At the same time, the flaming sword radiance struck Third Master Mo with irresistible force. Third Master Mo, who was full of confidence, had a drastic change in expression the moment Shao Chun attacked. An aura of death enveloped Third Master Mo completely. He cursed in his heart. Oh no, this kid, how is it possible? Shao Chun was clearly only in the half-saint realm, but he was so powerful. Even a saint like Third Master Mo couldn't resist the might of his sword. I can't block it. I definitely can't block Shao Chun's sword. This was what Third Master Mo thought. He didn't dare to take it head-on, but it was already too late for him to dodge. He could almost see his end. But at the last moment, a green light flashed and collided fiercely with Shao Chun's scorching sun sword technique. The two attacks canceled each other out. Along with the collision of these two attacks, an old man's figure appeared by Mo Liubai's side. It was this old man who'd made a move just now and saved Third Master Mo Liubai called out happily when he saw the old man. Ancestor. The old man was none other than the Mo family's ancestor. At the same time, he was also the Mo family's only quasi-saint great sovereign. Normally, the Mo family's ancestor wouldn't appear for such trivial matters. But when he sensed Shao Chun's terrifying aura, he didn't think much and rushed over. Fortunately, the Mo family's ancestor came. Otherwise, Third Master Mo's life would have been in danger. He had always doted on his granddaughter, Mo Liubai. But at this moment, the Mo family's ancestor ignored Mo Liubai's call as if he didn't hear her at all. A pair of turbid eyes stared fixedly at Shao Chun. After a long while, the Mo family's ancestor finally spoke. Young friend, are you a chosen of the holy rankings? The older the ginger, the spicier it was. The Mo family's ancestor had lived for so many years, so he was naturally much stronger than the two idiots, Mo Liubai and Third Master Mo. The Mo family's ancestor couldn't think of any other explanation for Shao Chun possessing such combat strength at such a young age. Begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. Chapter 14:17. The two idiots, Mo Liubai and Third Master Mo, had never thought that Shao Chun would possess such strength at such a young age. He had even defeated Third Master Mo, who was already a saint stage expert, with a single strike. Only a chosen of the saint rankings could possess such strength in the younger generation. Therefore, the Mo family's ancestor didn't attack directly. Instead, he asked Shao Chun politely. Shao Chun naturally knew what the Mo family's ancestor meant and replied indifferently. Shao Chun on the saint rankings. Shao Chun? The Mo family's ancestor's expression immediately changed when he heard that. He was definitely familiar with the name Shao Chun. It wasn't just him, Mo Liubai and Third Master Mo were the same as well. If one were to ask who the most eye-catching chosen of the saint rankings was in the past year, everyone would definitely answer Shao Chun without hesitation. It couldn't be helped. In the past year, Shao Chun had practically turned the entire saint rankings upside down. Every time the saint rankings appeared, it practically meant that Shao Chun's ranking would definitely rise again. How could everyone who was so active on the saint rankings not know about him? Therefore, everyone was shocked when they heard Shao Chun's words. At the same time, they understood why Shao Chun wasn't afraid of the Mo family at all. It was very normal. Shao Chun was a chosen of the saint rankings. Would the Mo family's ancestor dare to attack him? Moreover, even if the Mo family's ancestor really dared to exchange his life for Shao Chun's and attack Shao Chun, it didn't mean that the Mo family's ancestor could really kill Shao Chun. Even though Shao Chun was only at the half-saint stage, the saints on the saint rankings were famous for having a lot of trump cards. In particular, they had all sorts of life-saving methods. A saint stage expert wasn't a threat to Shao Chun at all. The Mo family only had a quasi-saint stage expert, and he was only at the entry stage. If they really fought, even if Xiao Chun wasn't a match for them, his chances of escaping were still very high. Xiao Chun wasn't afraid of the Mo clan, not because he didn't know what was good for him, but because he really had the confidence to do so. He stared at Xiao Chun with a grave expression. After a while, the Mo family patriarch suddenly smiled and cupped his hands toward Xiao Chun. So it's sacred son Xiao Chun. I hope the sacred son does not take offense. Clearly, the ancestor of the Mo clan was unwilling to form a grudge with Xiao Chun. Upon hearing this, Xiao Chun waved his hand in an unconcerned manner and said, "There is no need to talk about this. What do you think about this matter? Is your Mo family going to continue pestering me?" He wasn't interested in the Mo family at all, so Xiao Chun couldn't be bothered to waste his breath on the Mo family patriarch. If the Mo family wanted to continue pestering him, then Xiao Chun would accompany them to the end. If not, then Xiao Chun would leave. Originally, he only wanted to teach Mo Lu Bai a lesson and didn't have any other intentions. The Mo family patriarch immediately replied with a smile when he heard Xiao Chun's words. "Sacred son must be joking. It's my Mo family's fault. Lu Bai, why aren't you apologizing to the sacred son?" The Mo clan's ancestor was naturally clearly aware of his granddaughter's character. He didn't have to ask at all before he was able to guess that his granddaughter had definitely instigated this matter. In the past, Mo Lu Bai had caused quite a bit of trouble in Misty City. Mo Lu Bai was naturally unwilling to accept this when he heard his patriarch's words. He stood on the spot with an unwilling expression and didn't listen to his patriarch. The Mo family patriarch's face sank when he saw that Mo Lu Bai actually dared to disobey him. He immediately opened his mouth to berate Mo Lu Bai, but Xiao Chun spoke first. "Forget it. If that's the case, then so be it. It doesn't matter if you apologize or not. However, there's something I want to remind your Mo family. This is the first time, but it's best if there isn't a second time. If your Mo family comes to provoke me again, then I won't be so easy to deal with." After speaking, Xiao Chun turned around and left without waiting for the Mo family patriarch's reply. Xiao Chun didn't want to get entangled with the Mo family. As long as they didn't provoke him, Xiao Chun couldn't be bothered to deal with them. The matter between Xiao Chun and the Mo family had naturally spread throughout Misty City very quickly after a single person had suppressed an entire Misty City. Through this matter, everyone felt how terrifying a chosen on the hallowed ranking was. It wasn't just because of his strength, it was also because of his status. Even in other territories, a chosen on the hallowed ranking could still suppress an entire Misty Saint clan. News of Xiao Chun's matter had already spread in the outside world. As the person involved, Xiao Chun found an inn and sat cross-legged on the bed as he planned to refine the barbarian god fruit. At night, Xiao Chun's eyesight improved. Xiao Chun had already eaten the barbarian god fruit and was currently refining the energy within it. Since it was a treasure that specialized in tempering the body, refining it naturally wouldn't be easy. Just like right now, Xiao Chun's body was constantly throbbing with intense pain. Although Xiao Chun could endure the pain, it was still very uncomfortable. While Xiao Chun was refining the barbarian god fruit, Mo Lu Bai had naturally been fiercely reprimanded by the Mo family's ancestor after he returned during the day. Although he doted on Mo Lu Bai, the Mo family's ancestor clearly wouldn't bury the entire Mo family because of Mo Lu Bai. So this time, the Mo family's ancestor didn't show any mercy and even gave an order to confine Mo Lu Bai from leaving the Mo family's residence during this period of time. Mo Lu Bai was naturally unwilling to accept being reprimanded by the Mo family's ancestor, so she blamed everything on Xiao Chun. Mo Lu Bai hadn't learned her lesson after what had happened during the day. Or rather, her killing intent towards Xiao Chun hadn't decreased at all. On the contrary, her killing intent towards Xiao Chun had grown even stronger because of the Mo family's ancestor's reprimand. Deep into the night, Mo Liu Bai's eyes flickered with dense killing intent as she sat alone in her room. A short while later, Mo Liu Bai took out a voice transmission talisman and used it. The voice transmission talisman was for Mo Liubai's older brother, Mo Juedai. The Mo family was a mighty quasi-saint clan, but the person who truly made the Mo family known to the world, or the person who truly made the Mo family the #1 clan in Mist City, wasn't the Mo family's ancestor, but Mo Juedai. Mo Juedai was extremely famous in the entire celestial race because he was a chosen on the hallowed rankings like Shao Chun. Moreover, his ranking was even higher than Shao Chen's, as he'd already reached the 45th position. Such an outstanding chosen on the hallowed rankings was actually born in the tiny Mo family. This naturally caused the Mo family's status to soar. He joined the only great saint faction in the celestial race at a young age and cultivated in the heavenly palace. Now, he was already a chosen on the hallowed rankings who'd made a name for himself for many years. Mo Liubai was determined to kill Shao Chun, so she didn't hesitate at all and directly sent a message to her older brother, Mo Juedai. With a chosen on the hallowed rankings very powerful, it wasn't like their Mo family didn't have any. Moreover, Mo Juedai's ranking was even higher than Shao Chen's. In Mo Liubai's opinion, if her older brother had made a move, then Shao Chun would definitely die. Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendation. Chapter 1418. The Great Sage Heavenly Palace was the only Great Sage sect in the celestial race. It was overseen by 3 great sages. Compared to the other races, the celestial race was much more peaceful. The most important reason for this was that there was only one great sage sect in the celestial race. Basically, as long as the Heavenly Palace said the word, no one in the celestial race would dare to oppose it. The Heavenly Palace was indeed worthy of its name in the heaven region. The entire Heavenly Palace was built above the clouds in the sky. Beautiful palaces were located thousands of miles above the ground, as if they were built on white clouds. The entire celestial palace was beautiful and magnificent, indeed worthy of the name Celestial Palace. At this time, a handsome young man was sitting cross-legged on top of the clouds. At this time, a sound transmission talisman broke through the air. After listening to the contents of the sound transmission talisman, the young man slowly opened his eyes. A strange glint flashed in his eyes. Then he chuckled softly. This little sister. The young man was none other than the 45th on the saint rankings, Mo Juedai. After receiving Mo Liubai's message, Mo Juedai also knew what happened in Mist City. However, he was very clear about his little sister's personality. Although Mo Liubai blamed everything on Shao Chun, Mo Juedai knew very well that Mo Liubai was exaggerating. Everyone in Misty City knew of Mo Liubai's lawlessness. Mo Juedai had once scolded her as well. However, Mo Liubai had been spoiled since she was young, so it was impossible for her to change her temper. So, Mo Juedai had given up after trying a few times. If she was unruly, then so be it. No matter what, she was still his little sister. Mo Juedai let her be. However, perhaps it was because of Mo Juedai and the other Mo family members' indulgence that Mo Liubai became more and more lawless. She didn't have the slightest respect in her heart. She always felt that since she was the young miss of the Mo family, no one in this world would dare to provoke her. This time, it was clearly something that could have been avoided, but Mo Liubai just had to offend Shao Chun. Moreover, even after the Mo family's ancestor persuaded her, Mo Liubai still had no intention of letting go. She still wanted to fight to the death with Shao Chun. Of course, Mo Juedai didn't know that his ancestor had already made a decision on this matter. From Mo Liubai's message, it was completely clear that Shao Chun wasn't willing to let go. He was determined to make things difficult for the Mo family. Mo Juedai's eyes flickered with an indescribable light. He sighed softly before slowly getting up and speaking in an indifferent manner. Forget it. Let's go back and take a look. In any case, it has been a long time since we last went back. Regardless of whether Mo Liubai was telling the truth or not, Mo Juedai still intended to return and take a look. Ever since he became a holy disciple on the hallowed rankings, the number of times he returned home had decreased. The last time he returned to Misty City seemed to have been 5 years ago. Although Mo Lu Bai was unruly, she couldn't be bullied as she wished. Mo Juadai wasn't afraid if Xiaochun really didn't want to let go. After making up his mind, Mo Juadai replied to Mo Lu Bai. He said that he would return to Misty City in 3 days. Mo Lu Bai, who was in the Mo family in Misty City, quickly received Mo Juadai's reply. A cold smile immediately appeared on his face. It was as though he could already see the scene of Xiao Chun being beaten up by Mo Juadai. Xiao Chun, let's see how long you can be happy for. Mo Lu Bai snorted coldly. Then, he went to cultivate in satisfaction. It had to be said that Mo Lu Bai was a little petty. It was clearly a very simple matter. Moreover, the matter had almost come to an end after the ancestor of the Mo family had spoken. However, Mo Lu Bai refused to let go and even called Mo Juadai over. Xiaochun didn't know about Mo Juadai. Although he had heard of this person, Xiaochun didn't associate Mo Juadai with the Mo family in Misty City. Xiaochun was still cultivating in seclusion in the inn. The barbarian god fruit was indeed terrifying. His tempered battle body couldn't improve in the slightest in the past. However, with the help of the barbarian god fruit, Xiaochun could clearly feel his tempered battle body improving. Although the speed was still very slow, it was enough to make Xiaochun overjoyed. Feeling the steady improvement of the tempered battle body, Xiaochun was also extremely excited. With this barbarian god fruit, Xiaochun was sure that his tempered battle body could reach the limit of the 3rd celestial realm. As for whether he could reach the 4th celestial realm, it was hard to say, but the chances were slim. But even so, it was enough to strengthen Xiaochun's tempered battle body by a large margin. One had to know that even though Xiaochun hadn't slacked off on cultivating his tempered battle body, his progress was very weak. It was far inferior to this seclusion. Cultivating the tempered battle body required the accumulation of countless resources. This was something that Xiaochun knew from the beginning. At the very least, this barbarian god fruit could save Xiaochun several decades of bitter cultivation. Without the fruit of the barbarian god, it would have taken Xiaochun at least decades of training to bring the tempered battle body to the limit of the 3rd celestial level. However, with the fruit of the barbarian god, things were completely different. He could bring his celestial level to the limit in just a few days. For days passed in a row. After several days of seclusion, Xiaochun successfully refined the barbarian god fruit. Xiaochun's body was already extremely tough, so the speed at which he refined the barbarian god fruit was extremely fast. The result was similar to what Xiaochun had expected. His tempered battle body had indeed reached the limit of the 3rd heavenly layer. In terms of physical strength alone, it had more than doubled compared to before. His physical strength had undergone an earth-shattering change once again. Xiaochun's strength had naturally increased as well. It was no exaggeration to say that Xiaochun's body was probably comparable to Wang Lushan's. As the holy son of the barbarians, Wang Lushan's physical strength was his forte. Xiaochun, on the other hand, was a human, but his physical strength was no weaker than Wang Lushan's. That was a little scary. After the seclusion ended, Xiaochun's skin was covered with a layer of black impurities. These were the impurities that came out after the barbarian god fruit cleansed his body. It had a fishy smell. After freshening up and changing into a clean set of clothes, Xiaochun was in a good mood. He opened the door and planned to go out for a walk. After staying in the Misty City for a long time, Xiaochun also planned to leave. The improvement of his physical strength had caused Xiaochun's combat strength to soar. There was no point in continuing to stay in the Misty City. Xiaochun actually didn't care about the Mo family anymore. Xiaochun had previously said that as long as the Mo family didn't cause trouble for him, he wouldn't cause trouble for the Mo family either. Originally, he thought that this matter would be over. However, just as Xiaochun walked out of the inn, he heard a delicate voice. Xiaochun, stop right there. Please collect, please vote, please recommend me. Chapter 1419. Xiao Chun had originally intended to take a breather and leave Misty City tomorrow. But who would have imagined that as soon as he walked out of the inn, he would see Mo Lu Bai and a white-clothed young man blocking his path. Mo Lu Bai even had her hands on her hips as she shouted in an unruly manner. Xiao Chun frowned slightly when he heard Mo Lu Bai. To be honest, Xiao Chun hadn't taken the Mo clan's matter to heart when he'd charged over. But now it seemed like Mo Lu Bai was determined to cause trouble for him. It was just a small conflict, but Mo Lu Bai refused to let it go, and it caused the rage in Xiao Chen's heart to surge. Earlier, he didn't want to cause trouble, and the Mo clan's ancestor knew when to back down. So Xiao Chun had let it go. But now, after just a few days, Mo Lu Bai had actually come looking for trouble again. This naturally infuriated Xiao Chun. His expression was calm, but a wisp of cold light flickered in his eyes as he said, "As expected, a dog really can't change its habit. I said last time that the matter ends here. If your Mo clan doesn't look for trouble with me, then I absolutely won't look for trouble with your Mo clan. But now it seems like you've ignored my words." Mo Liu Bai's repeated provocations had caused a wisp of killing intent to arise in Xiao Chen's heart. This woman simply doesn't know the immensity of the heavens and the earth, and she's narrow-minded like a needle. Xiao Chun was sure that Mo Lu Bai would definitely bear a grudge against him because of such a simple matter, and she would definitely cause a lot of trouble for him in the future. Since that was the case, then he might as well deal with her here and be done with it once and for all. Even though he didn't want to become enemies with the Mo clan, it didn't mean that Xiao Chun was afraid of the Mo clan. Even though the Mo clan was a mighty quasi-saint clan, it merely had a single quasi-saint supreme venerable in the entire clan, and he was merely at the entry level of the quasi-saint realm. Even though he didn't dare say that he was a match for the Mo clan's ancestor, the Mo clan's ancestor absolutely wouldn't be able to stop Xiao Chun if he wanted to leave. As for the saints of the Mo clan, Xiao Chun didn't care about them at all. Xiao Chun could casually kill a saint like Third Master Mo, so there was nothing to fear. Xiao Chun possessed the ability to not fear the Mo clan, so he was filled with killing intent. When he sensed a faint killing intent emanating from Xiao Chen's body, the expression of the young man by Mo Liu Bai's side immediately changed. This young man was none other than Mo Juedai. He had returned to Misty City last night and met his sister. This morning, Mo Liu Bai impatiently brought Mo Juedai to find Xiao Chun. He'd originally thought that it was just a simple matter of getting back some face for Mo Liu Bai, but now it seemed like it wasn't so simple. Mo Juedai's original plan was very simple. Since Mo Liu Bai still had a knot in his heart, then he would make Xiao Chun lower his head and admit his mistake. With Mo Juedai's identity and status, it shouldn't be difficult for him to make Xiao Chun give him face. So long as Mo Liu Bai was appeased, then wouldn't the matter be resolved? Unfortunately, Mo Juedai had thought of the matter too simply. Or perhaps it should be said that he'd thought of Xiao Chun too simply. If it was anyone else, perhaps they would give Mo Juedai face, but Xiao Chun absolutely wouldn't. So, when he sensed the faint killing intent emanating from Xiao Chun, Mo Juedai immediately took a step forward and protected Mo Liu Bai behind him. Mo Juedai was extremely sensitive to killing intent, so he didn't doubt that Xiao Chun really wanted to kill Mo Liu Bai. Besides, Xiao Chun really dared to do so. Mo Juedai stared fixedly at Xiao Chun and raised his guard nervously. However, Xiao Chun's killing intent didn't decrease in the face of Mo Juedai's obstruction. No matter who Mo Juedai was, Xiao Chun already had the intention to kill him. Xiao Chun wouldn't give a woman like Mo Liu Bai face. Besides, Xiao Chun had said that there was only one chance. Since he was so eager to court death, Xiao Chun naturally wouldn't hold back. Mo Juedai shifted his feet and instantly executed the absolute footwork. Upon seeing that Xiao Chun had actually attacked, a terrifying aura soared from his body. At the same time, he let out a furious roar. "Xiao Chun, how dare you?" Prior to this, Mo Juedai had heard of Xiao Chun's name and knew that Xiao Chun had been extremely outstanding on the saint rankings for the past year. However, Mo Juedai didn't expect Xiao Chun to be so bold. Even though they were in Ethereal City, Xiao Chun actually dared to kill his younger sister in front of him. This was definitely an extremely audacious move. If it were any other ordinary person, perhaps they wouldn't even make a move. However, Xiao Chun had made a move and didn't hold back at all. Xiao Chun let out a furious roar, but he didn't care about Mo Juedai at all. Instead, he threw a punch forward. Seeing this, Mo Juedai didn't dodge, because once he dodged, Mo Lu Bai would be exposed before Xiao Chun. Therefore, Mo Juedai couldn't dodge Xiao Chen's attack, and could only choose to take it head-on. Facing Xiao Chen's fist, Mo Juedai also threw a punch forward. In a loud bang, their fists collided fiercely. In an instant, the surrounding houses were flattened by a terrifying shockwave. The surrounding crowd was stupefied. They stood on the spot blankly and even forgot to escape. Their fists collided head-on. What Mo Juedai hadn't expected was that the distance between Xiao Chen's fist and Xiao Chen's fist would cause his body to involuntarily take a dozen steps back. Mo Juedai forced him to retreat with a single punch. Mo Juedai muttered to himself in disbelief. Impossible. Earlier on, Mo Juedai and Xiao Chun didn't use any martial skills, but Xiao Chen's physical strength completely crushed Mo Juedai. He couldn't believe that Xiao Chun was actually that strong. However, just as Mo Juedai retreated, Mo Lu Bai was completely exposed before Xiao Chun. Without holding back, Xiao Chun threw out another punch. A dense aura of death instantly enveloped Mo Lu Bai. In the face of death, the unruly little princess of the Mo family finally had a huge change in expression. Mo Lu Bai had never felt that he was so close to death. Mo Lu Bai had never thought that he could be killed by someone, let alone in front of his elder brother, Mo Juedai. Mo Liu Bai's body seemed to be out of his control as he stood blankly on the spot. He was completely scared out of his wits as he watched Xiao Chen's fist fly toward him. Mo Juedai, who had just stabilized himself, shouted at Xiao Chun with a huge change in expression. "Xiao Chun, stop. We can sit down and discuss this matter. My Mo family can apologize for what happened to my younger sister." It was obvious that Xiao Chen's punch wasn't a joke. Therefore, in order to save Mo Liu Bai's life, Mo Juedai had no choice but to lower his head. But unfortunately, after hearing Mo Juedai's words, Xiao Chun replied coldly, "I said that you only have one chance. Seeking collection, monthly votes, recommendations, rewards." Chapter 14:20. Mo Juedai had already lowered his head, but Xiao Chen's fist didn't slow down. Mo Juedai's eyes turned red, and he shouted angrily, "Xiao Chun, you dare!" Mo Juedai regretted listening to Mo Liu Bai's words. He shouldn't have accompanied his younger sister to cause trouble. Originally, this matter was already over, but because of Mo Liu Bai's stubbornness, the matter had escalated to such an extent that Mo Liu Bai was about to lose his life. Mo Juedai had a very deep relationship with Mo Liu Bai. He had cared for Mo Liu Bai since they were young. Otherwise, he wouldn't have hurried back to Mist City from the Heavenly Palace just because of Mo Liu Bai's voice transmission talisman. Unfortunately, Mo Juedai didn't expect that he would return this time to personally witness his sister's death. Mo Liu Bai, who was usually unruly and willful, was completely scared silly. She thought that no one in the world would dare to kill her. Little did she know that there were many people who could kill her. It was just that her status wasn't high enough to reach that level. There was no medicine for regret in this world. Therefore, even if Mo Liu Bai regretted continuing to pester Xiao Chun, nothing could be changed. She watched as Xiao Chen's fist approach from afar. Then, with a bang, Xiao Chen's fist ruthlessly smashed into Mo Liu Bai's chest. Her heart meridians were completely severed. Mo Liu Bai immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. She fell straight to the ground, completely lifeless. Dead. Xiao Chun killed the little princess of the Mo family with just one punch. Seeing this scene, The surrounding people couldn't be described as stupefied. They were completely stupefied. At the same time, Mo Juadai stared blankly on the spot when Mo Lu Bai was blasted to death. Dead? My younger sister died, just like that? He didn't dare to believe this scene. Or rather, Mo Juadai didn't want to believe that Xiao Chun had actually killed Mo Lu Bai with one punch right in front of him. Walking up to Mo Liu Bai's corpse, Mo Juadai looked at the wide-eyed Mo Lu Bai who had died with remaining grievances. Mo Juadai was dumbstruck. However, after a brief moment, a terrifying aura erupted from Mo Juadai's body. He raised his head and looked at Xiao Chun with his scarlet eyes. The killing intent in his eyes was like a volcanic eruption as terrifying spiritual energy frantically swept through the surroundings. Some of the weaker people were directly shaken to death by Mo Juadai's spiritual energy, bleeding from their 7 orifices. Murderous intent, endless murderous intent. At this moment, Mo Juadai was enveloped by endless murderous intent. He stared at Xiao Chun and said word by word, "Xiao Chun, you deserve to die. You shouldn't have killed my little sister. Even though she was in the wrong, you cannot kill her." What a joke. Everyone has to be responsible for their own actions. Enough of your bullshit. If you want to fight, then come, Xiao Chun sneered when he heard Mo Juadai's words. The Mo family was also responsible for Mo Lu Bai becoming like this. Why was it that only Mo Lu Bai could kill others and others couldn't kill Mo Lu Bai? What a joke. Through the conversation between Mo Lu Bai and Mo Juadai, Xiao Chun already knew Mo Liu Bai's identity. He was the 45th ranked chosen on the saint rankings. But so what? Others might be afraid of Mo Juadai, but Xiao Chun wasn't. Moreover, after refining the barbarian god's fruit, Xiao Chun wanted to see how much his strength had increased. Mo Juadai was the best target. He didn't regret killing Mo Lu Bai. Xiao Chun didn't have the habit of retreating. He had already given in before, but Mo Lu Bai still recklessly came to bother him. This was the only outcome. As Xiao Chun spoke, Mo Juadai didn't say anything else. His spatial ring flashed, and a long sword appeared in his hand. His feet moved, and he instantly attacked Xiao Chun. Mo Juadai had gone completely crazy because of Mo Liu Bai's death. At this moment, there was only one thought in his mind, and that was to kill Xiao Chun and avenge his sister. His sword domain instantly erupted. Mo Juadai was also a sword cultivator, so Xiao Chun didn't dodge. He also unleashed his sword domain. At the same time, the laws of gravity erupted, and the dustless sword appeared in his hand. The sword domain collided. Both of them erupted with their full strength. They didn't hold back in the slightest. When their swords slashed out, the unique mark of the Tian clan appeared on Mo Juadai's forehead. The power of the Tian clan came from the mark on their forehead. Xiao Chun wasn't unfamiliar with this. He had learned many secrets about the Tian clan from Tian Yu. The tip of the sword slashed out. Mo Juadai's strength was indeed not weak. He was even stronger than Wang Lushan. Of course, Mo Juadai's ranking on the saint rankings was higher than Wang Lushan's, so it was normal for him to be stronger than Wang Lushan. The saint rankings of the central world didn't have any exaggeration. After all, it was created by the will of the heavenly way. The ranking represented one's strength. The higher one's ranking, the stronger one's strength was. There was no doubt about this. Mo Juadai's sword strike should be the strongest sword strike Xiao Chun had ever encountered among his peers. He didn't dodge, and similarly slashed out with his sword. The scorching sun sword technique was instantly unleashed. The flaming sword formed from the scorching laws of fire seemed to want to burn everything. With incomparable power, it fiercely collided with Mo Juadai's sword. The collision this time was much more terrifying than the previous one. Almost half of the Misty City was affected by the sword strike. Those who couldn't escape in time were all killed by the terrifying sword intent. As the sword fell, countless Tian clan people died. However, Mo Juadai couldn't care less about this now. He only had one thought in his mind, and that was to kill Xiao Chun. Mo Juedai didn't care about the casualties of the Tian clan, and Shao Chun didn't care either. In any case, it was the Tian clan, not the human clan. What did it have to do with Shao Chun? Moreover, Shao Chun didn't dare to be distracted in the battle with Mo Juedai. Although it was just a simple head-on collision, Mo Juedai's strength had already been fully displayed. He was very strong. It could be said that he was terrifyingly strong. Mo Juedai was also a half-step saint and was on par with Shao Chun. When the sword fell, neither of them had the upper hand. Then, Shao Chun and Mo Juedai moved at the same time. The two of them rushed towards each other. Then, the two of them fought fiercely. Their speed was so fast that it was almost impossible to see their figures clearly. Shao Chun had the absolute movement technique, and he had already cultivated it to perfection. Naturally, his speed had increased by a lot compared to before. As for Mo Juedai, he also had the ability of the Tian clan. His speed wasn't much weaker than Shao Chun's. This was no longer an ordinary battle between the chosens of the saint ranking. The battle between Shao Chun and Mo Juedai was clearly a life and death battle. Especially from Mo Juedai's appearance. It was as if he wouldn't stop until he killed Shao Chun. Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendation. Chapter 14:21. Mo Juedai was clearly engulfed in killing intent. He was engaged in a fierce battle with Shao Chun. He didn't care about anything else and only wanted to kill Shao Chun. The two of them didn't hold back in the slightest. They fought all the way from Misty City to the sky. Two terrifying auras collided in the sky. The sharp sword intent enveloped the entire Misty City. Such a huge commotion naturally attracted the Mo family's attention. At this moment, the Mo family's ancestor and a group of Mo family experts arrived before Mo Liubai's corpse. But when they saw Mo Liubai's corpse, the Mo family experts were stunned. A middle-aged man among them directly arrived before Mo Liubai's corpse and immediately shed tears. This middle-aged man was Mo Liubai's father and the current patriarch of the Mo family. He was at the Sage Realm Mastery Realm and could be considered the second strongest expert under the Mo family's ancestor. He didn't expect Mo Liubai to be killed just like that. The Mo family's ancestor's face turned gloomy when he saw such an outcome. But besides the gloominess, there was also a trace of complexity. In fact, the Mo family's ancestor knew that Mo Liubai had brought Mo Juedai to cause trouble for Shao Chun. He didn't agree with Mo Liubai's actions, but he didn't stop her. Because in the Mo family's ancestor's opinion, there shouldn't be any problems with Mo Juedai following her. Since Mo Liubai's resentment couldn't be dispelled, it was good to let her vent her anger. Unfortunately, the Mo family's ancestor's idea wasn't wrong, but he chose the wrong target. Shao Chun wasn't the kind of person who would let others vent their anger. When faced with Mo Liubai's entanglement again, Shao Chun didn't hesitate to kill Mo Liubai. He didn't give her the slightest chance. It was unknown whether the Mo family's ancestor was regretting it. If he could stop Mo Juedai and Mo Liubai today, things wouldn't have turned out this way. Shao Chun and the Mo family wouldn't have ended up in such a situation. The matter was originally over, but because of Mo Liubai's unruly behavior and the Mo family's disregard, things had gotten out of hand. Looking at the fierce battle between Shao Chun and Mo Juedai in the sky, the Mo family's patriarch was furious. He immediately planned to attack, but this time it was the Mo family's ancestor. "What do you want to do?" "I'm going to kill that little thief, Shao Chun." "Nonsense. Do you think you can kill Shao Chun with your strength? If you make a move now, other than causing trouble for Juedai, you won't be of any use at all. Stay aside from me." It was true that the Mo clan's patriarch was at the Sage Realm Great Perfection Realm. However, such a cultivation was completely useless in front of holy sons like Shao Chun and Mo Juedai. Now that Shao Chun and Mo Juedai were truly enraged, if the Mo family head were to act rashly, not only would he not be able to help Mo Juedai, he would even become a burden to Mo Juedai. Sometimes, it was not possible to win with more people. If they were not strong enough, they would only be a burden. Hearing his ancestors' words, the patriarch of the Mo family's face became extremely gloomy. Flames of fury burned in his eyes. But in the end, he suppressed the fury in his heart and stood to the side without saying anything. Indeed, it was as the Mo family's ancestor had said. Even if the patriarch of the Mo family took action now, he would only be a burden. It was better not to go. The experts of the Mo family and the warriors of the floating mist city were all watching the battle in the sky. Under everyone's gazes, the battle in the sky had reached its climax. Whether it was Shao Chun or Mo Juedai, both of them had taken out their special skills. The mark on Mo Juedai's forehead flickered with a dense red light. This was a secret technique of the Tian clan. Through the mark, he could increase his strength for a short period of time. On the other side, Shao Chun had also activated his tempered battle body to fight fiercely. His entire body flickered with golden light. After fighting for such a long time, the two of them were naturally injured. However, relying on the tempered battle body, Shao Chen's injuries could be healed in the shortest amount of time. Facing Shao Chen's terrifying recovery ability, Mo Juedai also felt that it was troublesome. It was as if he could not be killed. Any injury, Shao Chun could heal in an instant. On the other hand, Mo Juedai, did not have Shao Chen's terrifying recovery ability. If it was any other time, the two of them would have stopped fighting long ago. However, at this moment, whether it was Shao Chun or Mo Juedai, neither of them had any intention of stopping. Mo Juedai wanted to kill Shao Chun, and for this, he was willing to pay any price. Shao Chun was clearly enraged, and since Mo Juedai wanted to kill him, Shao Chun would naturally not show mercy. To be honest, it was not as if Shao Chun had never killed a holy son of the saint rankings before. Back then, didn't Bai Chiron die at Shao Chen's hands? As the two swords collided, the terrifying spiritual energy even tore a hole in the space. The void storm was already wreaking havoc in the sky above the misty city. At this point, the battle had already reached a situation where one side would not rest until one side was dead. In the midst of the fierce battle, Mo Juedai fiercely thrusted out his sword, which flickered with a dense blood-red light. When this sword pierced out, the horizon was dyed red by the red light. However, seeing this, Shao Chen's eyes flashed with a hint of surprise. He did not even dodge and directly rushed towards Mo Juedai. Seeing that Shao Chun had actually collided with the sword, the killing intent in Mo Juedai's eyes became even more intense as he shouted, "Shao Chun die!" As he spoke, Mo Juedai's sword directly pierced Shao Chen's chest. Seeing this, the experts of the Mo family below were stunned, and then secretly rejoiced. Even if this sword could not kill Shao Chun, it would definitely be able to severely injure Shao Chun. The two of them were similar in strength, and once Shao Chun was seriously injured, it was equivalent to not being far from death. However, before the experts of the Mo family could rejoice for too long, Shao Chun had already pointed his finger at Mo Juedai's forehead. Seeing Shao Chun's action, the ancestor of the Mo family was the first to react. The faint smile on his face instantly disappeared, and his figure immediately moved. At the same time, he shouted angrily, "Shao Chun, you dare!" The sudden agitation of the ancestor of the Mo family confused many of the experts of the Mo family. It was clearly Mo Juedai who had the upper hand, so why was the ancestor so agitated? However, just as everyone was puzzled, a green sword light flashed on Shao Chen's finger. He had instantly executed the Mo Yi finger sword. At such a close distance, even Shao Chen's finger was directly imprinted on Mo Juedai's forehead. Therefore, without giving Mo Juedai any time to react, the green sword light instantly pierced through Mo Juedai's forehead. Seeing the green sword light shoot out and instantly pierce through Mo Juedai's forehead, the experts of the Mo family finally reacted. Why was the ancestor so agitated just now? begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendation. Chapter 1422. The cyan sword light directly pierced through Mo Juadai's forehead. Seeing this, everyone from the Mo family was completely stunned. If Mo Liobai's death only made the Mo family furious, then Mo Juadai's death was enough to shake the Mo family. One had to know that Mo Juadai's position in the Mo family was even higher than the Mo family's ancestor. His death was definitely a huge blow to the Mo family. No one in the entire Mo family could replace Mo Juadai. It could even be said that the Mo family was able to dominate Misty City and become the #1 family in Misty City because of Mo Juadai. At this moment, everyone from the Mo family stood on the spot as if they were dumbfounded. They coldly looked at the cyan sword light in the sky. How is this possible? They thought in their hearts. All the experts from the Mo family were dumbfounded. At this moment, the Mo family's ancestor, who had already made his move, appeared in front of Xiao Chun with a face full of anger. He fiercely slammed his palm toward Xiao Chun. Previously, the Mo family's ancestor had already noticed that something was wrong. However, he was still a step too late and couldn't stop Xiao Chun. Facing the Mo family's ancestor's attack, Xiao Chun didn't have any intention of fighting head-on. He directly pushed Mo Juadai's body towards the Mo family's ancestor. Seeing that Xiao Chun actually used Mo Juadai as a shield, the Mo family's ancestor could only forcefully withdraw his hand and immediately catch Mo Juadai. When the Mo family's ancestor caught Mo Juadai, Xiao Chun had already retreated. He casually threw a pill into his mouth and used all his strength to recover the spiritual energy he had consumed. At the same time, the place where Mo Juadai had stabbed his chest was also quickly healed under the recovery of the tempered battle body. Xiao Chen's previous move was completely a method of exchanging injury for life. The reason he dared to do so was naturally because of the improvement of his tempered battle body. After refining the barbarian god fruit, the tempered battle body had already reached the limit of the 3rd heavenly realm. It was precisely because of his powerful physical body that Xiao Chun dared to use such a desperate method. Otherwise, even if he had killed Mo Juadai, Xiao Chun definitely wouldn't have gained any benefits. His breathing was a little rapid, but no matter what, Xiao Chun had won this battle. On the other side, the old ancestor of the Mo clan hugged Mo Juadai's body. There was a finger-sized bloody hole on Mo Juadai's forehead. As his aura grew weaker and weaker, Mo Juadai's eyes were filled with unwillingness. He never thought that he would die in the hands of Xiao Chun. Not being able to hold on for long, Mo Juadai finally died. Xiao Chen's strike could absolutely be considered a fatal strike. No matter how strong Mo Juadai was, it was impossible for him to hold on. Seeing that Mo Juadai's breath had been cut off, the eyes of the Mo clan's patriarch turned red. This was the hope of their Mo clan, and he had fallen just like that? It was originally a very small matter, and it was all because of Mo Liobai's unruly character. Who would have imagined that the matter would develop to such an extent? Not only had Mo Liubai been killed, even Mo Juadai had perished here. This caused the ancestor of the Mo clan to fall into a state of confusion. Everything could have been avoided, but the Mo clan had chosen to indulge Mo Liubai, resulting in such an outcome. Who knew if the ancestor of the Mo clan had a trace of regret in his heart? However, it was already useless to say all this now. Regardless of whether the ancestor of the Mo clan regretted it or not, Mo Juadai was already dead. In the sky, the light screen of the saint rankings appeared once more. The 45th name that originally belonged to Mo Juadai had directly disappeared, while Xiao Chun had jumped to the 45th place. Mo Juadai's death directly wiped his name from the saint rankings. At the same time, Mo Juadai became the 2nd saint on the saint rankings that had fallen in the hands of Xiao Chun. The light screen enveloped the sky, But at this moment, the ancestor of the Mo clan was extremely repulsed by the light screen of the Saint rankings, because Shao Chun had stepped on Mo Juedai's corpse to reach the 45th place on the Saint rankings. After a moment of confusion, the ancestor of the Mo clan burned with rage. He raised his head and looked at Shao Chun with bloodshot eyes. At the same time, the terrifying aura of the quasi-saint stage soared into the sky. Shao Chun, my Mo clan will not rest until you die. Huh? Shao Chun sneered when he heard the ancestor's furious shout that was filled with killing intent. Since the moment he killed Mo Lu Bai, Shao Chun had already become an irreconcilable enemy of the Mo clan. So what was the point of saying all this now? Moreover, a power like the Mo clan might seem very strong to others, but it was nothing to Shao Chun. Even though Shao Chun wasn't a match for the ancestor of the Mo clan right now, it was impossible for the ancestor of the Mo clan to kill Shao Chun with his cultivation at the beginning of the quasi-saint stage. There wasn't the slightest trace of fear on his face. When he saw this, the ancestor of the Mo clan shouted in a deep voice, "Attack! Kill this kid!" Following the ancestor of the Mo clan's furious shout, the experts of the Mo clan below also attacked. Several saints, led by the head of the Mo clan, charged towards Shao Chun. Facing the siege of the experts of the Mo clan, Shao Chun's gaze immediately locked on a third master. Third Master Mo's cultivation was only at the beginning of the saint stage, and his strength was far inferior to Mo Juedai's. Moreover, he had supported Mo Lu Bai back then. If the ancestor of the Mo clan hadn't appeared, Third Master Mo would have probably been killed by Shao Chun. Since it was already an irreconcilable situation, Shao Chun naturally didn't have to hold back. He moved his feet and instantly executed the absolute movement technique, charging directly towards the experts of the Mo clan. Ignoring the head of the Mo clan who was charging at the front, Shao Chun's figure flashed and directly passed by the head of the Mo clan. Then, relying on his superb movement technique, he instantly appeared in front of Third Master Mo. Third Master Mo's expression changed when he saw Shao Chun directly appear in front of him. He still hadn't forgotten the scene from a few days ago. At that time, he couldn't even withstand a single strike for Shao Chun. I originally wanted to let you go last time, but since you're courting death, you can't blame anyone for that, said Shao Chun coldly. With that, he directly slashed out with his sword. The Scorching Sun sword was instantly executed. In the face of Shao Chun's sword, Third Master Mo almost instinctively defended himself. However, with his strength, it was naturally impossible for him to block Shao Chun's sword. Unsurprisingly, Third Master Mo's defense was easily destroyed by the Scorching Sun sword technique. The sword didn't stop at all as it slashed across Third Master Mo's neck. One strike. With just one strike, Shao Chun had killed a saint. The surrounding experts of the Mo clan were stunned when they saw Third Master Mo's head fly into the air. Not far away, the head of the Mo clan was exposed to the extreme at this moment. His eyes were bloodshot as he roared at Shao Chun. Third brother, Shao Chun, you're courting death. Third Master Mo was the younger brother of the head of the Mo clan. Now, after his children had died at the hands of Shao Chun, Third Master Mo had also died at the hands of Shao Chun, begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. Chapter 1423. Third Lord Mo was a saint. Although he was only at the beginning of the saint realm, he was still a saint. Even so, Third Lord Mo was killed by Shao Chun with a single strike of his sword. The Mo clan master went completely mad. His son, daughter, and younger brother had all died at the hands of Shao Chun. How could he not be angry? He immediately attacked Shao Chun. Terrifying, murderous intent spread all over his body. However, Shao Chun was completely unfazed by the anger of the head of the Mo clan. Although the Mo clan master's cultivation was much higher than Third Master Mo's and had reached the Saint Realm Mastery Realm, it was still not enough for Shao Chun. Ever since he had broken through to the half-body mirror, ordinary saints, even saints who had reached the Saint Realm perfection, were no longer a threat to Shao Chun. Therefore, since the Mo clan master wanted to die, Shao Chun would naturally fulfill his wish. He planned to kill the Mo clan master as well. In any case, things had come to this point. Shao Chun and the Mo clan were in a situation where they would not rest until one of them was dead. Killing one or two of them was no different. However, just as Shao Chun was about to make his move, the Mo clan master also made his move. After handing over Mo Juedai's corpse to a Dao Emperor Realm Mo clan member, the Mo clan's ancestor attacked Shao Chun furiously. He could ignore a saint like the Mo clan master, but Shao Chun still could not let his guard down when facing a quasi-saint great venerate like the Mo clan master. After all, a quasi-saint great venerate was far from a saint. Shao Chun frowned slightly. He did not fight the Mo clan master head-on. After all, although his strength had improved a lot during this period of time, Shao Chun still did not have the strength to fight a quasi-saint great venerate. He executed the absolute movement technique and dodged the ancestor's attack with a flash. Perhaps it was because he had attacked in rage, but the ancestor didn't consider anything else at all. So, Shao Chun avoided the attack. However, some of the Mo clansmen who were only at the Dao Emperor realm in the surroundings weren't so lucky. They were directly killed by the ancestor's attack. Dying at the hands of their own great ancestor was rather comical. Seeing this, the great ancestor of the Mo family became even angrier. He did not care about his own master anymore. Without stopping, the great ancestor of the Mo family rushed towards Shao Chun again. A berserk quasi-saint great venerate was indeed exceptionally terrifying. Unfortunately, the Mo family patriarch's opponent was Shao Chun. In terms of life-saving means, there was probably no one in the entire central world who was stronger than the chosens of the saint ranking. After all, every single chosen of the saint ranking was the hope of a large sect. Therefore, every single chosen of the saint ranking could be said to be armed to the teeth. They possessed all sorts of life-saving trump cards. The spatial ring on Shao Chun's hand flashed when he saw the Mo family patriarch charge towards him. Then, over a dozen Saint Tier talismans shot out. The Dragon Emperor had extorted these talismans from the Xinyuan clan. There were a total of 1,000 talismans. Because he knew that Shao Chun was going out to gain experience by himself, the Dragon Emperor had simply given Shao Chun 700 of these talismans so that Shao Chun could use them to protect himself. 700 Saint Tier talismans, and all of them were at the peak of the Saint Tier. There were offensive talismans, defensive talismans, and support talismans. The talismans that Shao Chun had thrown out were all offensive talismans. They were called the Starfall talismans, and they were extremely powerful. Over a dozen Starfall talismans instantly exploded at the same time. Then, the area where the Mo family patriarch stood was immediately enveloped in raging flames. This power was no weaker than the full-strength attack of a perfect Saint Stage expert. However, that was not the end of it. Shao Chun did not stop after the dozen or so Heavenfire Meteor Fall talismans exploded. He threw out another 30 Heavenfire Meteor Fall talismans, which exploded once again. The power of the flames instantly doubled. Even a quasi-Saint Supreme Sovereign, like the Mo family patriarch, didn't dare to be careless in the face of an attack from a peak Saint Tier talisman that was dozens of feet long. However, even though the Mo family patriarch had taken this seriously, he still underestimated Shao Chun's methods. Shao Chun had thrown out over 40 Starfall talismans in 2 tries. In just a few breaths' time, another stack of Starfall talismans appeared in Shao Chun's hand. There were a total of 100 Starfall talismans. "Old bastard, I don't believe that I can't kill you," Shao Chun said coldly as a murderous intent flashed in his eyes. Since they had already started a blood feud, there was naturally no need to hold back. One had to be ruthless when doing things. The wildfire couldn't burn away the fire, and it would grow again when the spring breeze blew. Shao Chun wouldn't let a clan that had a deep grudge against him live and constantly think of ways to take revenge on him. Since he was going to kill, he had to do it cleanly. This was Shao Chun's idea. In any case, Shao Chun had 700 peak Saint tier talismans on him. In addition, he had also accumulated some over the years. Therefore, Shao Chun didn't feel any heartache about using these 100 Starfall talismans to kill the Mo family patriarch. In any case, these talismans were going to be used. If he didn't use them, they would be useless. Murderous intent gathered in Shao Chen's eyes. Then he swung his hand, and the 100 Starfall talismans shot toward the Mo family patriarch. The dozens of Starfall talismans from before hadn't been dealt with yet, and now the 100 Starfall talismans were attacking him. Seeing this scene, the Mo family patriarch's eyebrows twitched involuntarily. These were peak Saint tier talismans. Every single one of them could be said to be priceless. Although a clan like the Mo family was a quasi-saint clan, the number of Saint tier talismans in the entire Mo family was only a mere 100 to 200. Moreover, this was the result of the Mo family's accumulation over several generations. Saint tier talismans weren't cabbages that could be found on the streets. The Mo family didn't have any talisman masters. Therefore, if one wanted to obtain a peak Saint tier talisman, the price one had to pay was very high. But now, Shao Chun had thrown out more than 100 Skyfire Starfall talismans. This was no longer a contest of strength. To put it bluntly, Shao Chun was throwing money at the Great Elder of the Mo clan. He was trying to crush the Great Elder of the Mo clan with money. Shock flashed through the Mo family patriarch's eyes. More than 100 Starfall talismans were enough to pose a threat to the Mo family patriarch. Moreover, it was a fatal threat. It was only now that the Mo family patriarch personally understood why people said it was extremely difficult to kill any chosen on the saint ranking. It was because every chosen on the saint ranking had an endless number of life-saving trump cards. Shao Chun was like that. So many saint tier talismans made the Mo family patriarch's scalp go numb. Of course, since Shao Chun had so many life-saving trump cards, Mo Jue Dai, who had been killed by Shao Chun, naturally also had some. However, he didn't even have the chance to use these life-saving trump cards. It could only be said that Mo Jue Dai was too careless. He didn't even think that Shao Chun had the strength to kill him. Begging for a monthly vote, begging for a recommendation. Chapter 1424. It wasn't wrong to say that Mo Jue Dai's death was his own doing. Although Shao Chen's strength was one of the reasons, it was also because of Mo Jue Dai's overconfidence and carelessness. If Mo Jue Dai had been more cautious, he definitely wouldn't have died. The reason was very simple. Mo Jue Dai definitely had various life-saving methods given to him by the Heavenly Palace. Unfortunately, he no longer had the chance to use them. On the other hand, Shao Chun and Mo Jue Dai were completely different. Shao Chun was confident, but he definitely wasn't arrogant. No matter who the enemy was, he wouldn't relax. More than 100 Heavenfire Meteor Fall talismans exploded, and the Mo family's ancestor was surrounded by raging flames. These flames were enough to burn a saint, and even the Mo family's ancestor found it extremely difficult to block more than 100 Heavenfire Meteor Fall talismans. There were burn marks on his clothes and skin. His spiritual energy was simply unable to resist the burning of these raging flames. As a quasi-saint great sovereign and the Mo family's ancestor, it had been many years since the Mo family's ancestor was forced to such a state. Who would have thought that after living for so many years, the Mo family's ancestor would be forced to such a state by a junior in the end? The spiritual energy in his body soared into the sky, frantically resisting the endless raging flames around him. The sky seemed to have turned into a sea of fire, and the experts of the Mo family didn't dare to approach at all. All of them stood far away, nervously looking at the Mo family's ancestor in the sea of fire. Patriarch, will the ancestor be all right? Facing such a terrifying sea of fire, a saint of the Mo family asked the Mo family's patriarch with a solemn expression. In the current situation, the Mo family's ancestor was definitely in a bad situation. However, the Mo family's patriarch's face darkened when he heard this. Bullshit. How could the ancestor be all right? Do you think you can kill the ancestor with these saint-level talismans? You're simply dreaming. The MO family's patriarch berated in a deep voice. To be honest, he wasn't confident at this time, but he couldn't show it. Mo Juadai was already dead. If something were to happen to the Mo family's ancestor at this time, it would be a disaster for the Mo family. Thinking about it, if even the ancestor of the Mo clan was in Shao Chen's hands, who else in the Mo clan would be a match for Shao Chun? At that time, the entire Mo clan would probably be destroyed by Shao Chun. He could only force himself to believe that it was impossible for a mere saint-level talisman to kill his ancestor. However, the Mo family head wasn't lying. Although these sacred-grade talismans were powerful, it was indeed unrealistic to rely on them to kill a quasi-saint great sovereign like the Mo family ancestor. After all, at the level of a quasi-sage great venerable, the threat of a sage talisman still existed, but it was no longer so fatal. This was the case even as Shao Chun used hundreds of sage talismans in a row. Of course, Shao Chun was also very clear about this point. Therefore, from the beginning, Shao Chun had no hope of using these sage talismans to kill the Mo family ancestor. Shao Chun hadn't used his real trump card yet. As time went on, the flames of the Skyfire Starfall talismans were gradually dispersed by the Mo ancestor. Although the Mo ancestor appeared to be in a very wretched state right now, with his clothes and skin covered in burn marks, his presence was still extremely vigorous. He hadn't suffered any serious injuries because of these hundreds of sage talismans. This was the strength of a quasi-saint great sovereign. The flames were gradually dispersed by the Mo family ancestor. At this time, the Mo family ancestor finally had the energy to look at Shao Chun. The killing intent in his eyes was even stronger than before as he shouted coldly. An external force is ultimately an external force. Little bastard, let this old man tell you today that only when you are strong yourself can you be truly strong. His words were filled with dense killing intent, but Shao Chun didn't panic at all. On the contrary, the corners of his mouth curled into a sneer. You're right, but you forgot one thing. Although an external force is an external force and can't represent oneself, it can still kill. With that, Shao Chen's storage ring flashed, and an ancient stone tablet appeared in his hand. The Mo family patriarch was taken aback when he saw the stone tablet. Then he instinctively called out, "Spirit tablet." A spirit tablet, as the name implied, was a treasure that could store spirit energy. Once someone injected spirit energy into it, the spirit tablet would have the ability to attack. Of course, the ability of this attack was determined by the cultivation of the person who injected spirit energy into it. Moreover, this token was a one-time use treasure. Each spirit tablet could only be used once. After using it, it would shatter. To put it simply, if a quasi-saint great sovereign injected spirit energy into a token, the token would be able to unleash a quasi-saint great sovereign level attack. If the great sage injected spirit energy into the token would be able to unleash a quasi-saint level attack. Shao Chun had 3 of these spirit tablets with him. It could be said that they were his true trump cards. Shao Chun looked at the great ancestor of the Mo clan with murderous intent in his eyes as he held the tablet in his hand. Do you know who gave me this token? Hearing this, the Mo family ancestor immediately had a bad premonition. Without waiting for the Mo family ancestor to reply, or perhaps Shao Chun didn't plan on letting him reply, he continued, "This spirit tablet was given to me by the heavenly Yin solar sex patriarch, Yin Yangzi. You should understand what I mean, right? This token was indeed given to Shao Chun by Yin Yangzi. It was for Shao Chun to use in times of danger." As soon as he finished speaking, Shao Chun directly activated the token. Immediately, a terrifying aura that made everyone tremble in fear instantly erupted. Then, a beam of light intertwined with black and white light shot out from the spirit tablet. This attack was clearly Yin Yangzi's method. Seeing this beam of black and white light shooting towards him, the Mo family ancestor's expression changed drastically. Even when Shao Chun had used over 100 heavenly flame starfall talismans, the Mo family ancestor's expression had only turned slightly ugly. However, in the face of this intertwined beam of black and white light, a trace of fear appeared on the Mo family ancestor's face. The Great Sage. This was definitely the Great Sage's basic attack. It was impossible for the Mo family ancestor to block such an attack. He immediately wanted to retreat, but at this moment, Shao Chen's voice rang out. Don't you think it's a little too late to run now? As he spoke, the attack viciously slammed into the Mo family ancestor. Immediately, a blinding light erupted and enveloped the entire Mist City. At the same time, the people below were so blinded that they couldn't open their eyes. The Mo family ancestor's figure was completely swallowed by the light. His aura was completely concealed as well. It was impossible to tell whether he was dead or alive. Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendation. Chapter 1425. This represented Enyangzi's all-out attack. How could the Mo family's patriarch possibly block it? Dazzling light enveloped the entire ethereal city. Many cultivators with low cultivation bases and bad luck were also affected by the terrifying aftershocks and were instantly killed. It was as if the end of the world had arrived. The Great Sage's attack was so terrifying. As the lights slowly dissipated, everyone saw that a huge black hole had appeared where the Mo family's patriarch had been. Clearly, it was formed by the powerful force that had shattered space just now. Spatial storms constantly spread out from the black hole, but the Mo family's patriarch's figure had disappeared. Not even a trace of his aura was left behind. He had probably been sucked into the black hole. Faced with this outcome, the many experts of the Mo family were all stunned. Even their patriarch had been killed. At this moment, the Mo family no longer had any anger in their hearts. Instead, they were filled with endless fear and regret. They regretted provoking Shao Chun. They regretted not disciplining Mo Liu Bai more strictly. If it weren't for Mo Liu Bai's unruly and willfulness, their Mo family wouldn't have ended up like this. All along, the Mo family had helped Mo Liu Bai deal with the troubles he caused. Sometimes, when the Mo family couldn't handle it, Mo Juedai would step forward to clean up the mess. But this time, Mo Liu Bai finally kicked an iron plate. Not only was he killed, but he also implicated Mo Juedai. In the end, even the Mo family's patriarch was killed by Shao Chen's trump card. Mo Juedai and the Mo family's patriarch, the two guardians of the Mo family, were killed by Shao Chun one after another. Many people of the Mo family could already see their fates. At that moment, the clan leader of the Mo clan looked at Shao Chun with deep fear in his eyes. At the same time, there was also deep regret in his eyes. The Mo family was probably going to be destroyed. Just as the Mo family's patriarch looked at Shao Chun, Shao Chun also happened to look at the Mo family's patriarch and the others. Meeting Shao Chun's gaze, the head of the Mo family felt goosebumps all over his body. Then, without any hesitation, he shouted, "Run, run." Now that the patriarch was dead, there was no one in the Mo clan who could stop Shao Chun. They could only run. However, as soon as the patriarch of the Mo clan finished speaking, Shao Chun appeared in front of him with a faint smile on his face. Don't you think it's over for you to run now? Without giving the patriarch of the Mo family a chance to reply, Shao Chun directly slashed out. In response, the patriarch of the Mo family made a prompt decision to block with his sword. The Mo family head was indeed much stronger than Third Master Mo. At the very least, Shao Chun would not be able to kill him with one strike. But so what? If Shao Chun wanted to kill him, it wouldn't be difficult. As the sword fell, Shao Chun didn't stop. He slashed out again. At the same time, without giving the patriarch of the Mo family any time to react, Shao Chun pointed his finger and instantly executed the Moi sword finger. The blazing sword technique and the Moi sword finger attacked the patriarch of the Mo family at the same time. Although the patriarch of the Mo family successfully blocked the first strike, The moist sword finger that followed instantly penetrated his shoulder. Fortunately, the patriarch of the Mo family had forcefully avoided the attack at the last moment. Otherwise, the finger would not have penetrated his shoulder, but his heart. Although the patriarch of the Mo family had successfully avoided the attack, he was still injured. There was no time for the patriarch of the Mo family to recover. Xiaochen was already on top of him. The patriarch of the Mo family, who was only at the sage great mastery realm, was naturally no match for Xiaochen. He also didn't think that he could defeat Xiaochen. At the moment, the patriarch of the Mo family was only thinking about one thing. He wanted to hold off Xiaochen for a while longer. The longer he could hold on, the greater the chances of the other members of the Mo family escaping alive. The whole thing had been caused by his daughter, Mo Lu Bai. He had left behind this unruly and willful daughter. It was also this daughter who had personally sent the Mo family to a dead end. As a father and the patriarch of the Mo family, the patriarch of the Mo family couldn't shirk his responsibility. Therefore, he could only use his own actions to make up for some of his mistakes. Unfortunately, although the patriarch of the Mo family was determined to die, he still couldn't change anything in the face of the disparity in strength. It was too late to atone for his sins now. There were many things in this world, but there was no medicine for regret. If the patriarch of the Mo family had disciplined Mo Lu Bai earlier, the Mo family definitely wouldn't have ended up in such a state. Attacking with all his strength, Xiaochen naturally wouldn't give the patriarch of the Mo family a chance to delay. With a few strikes, Xiaochen severed the patriarch of the Mo family's right arm. Blood splattered as the patriarch of the Mo family's right arm was directly severed. His face was pale, but then Xiaochen slashed out again. The patriarch of the Mo family's head flew into the air. He was dead. After killing a saint of the Mo family, Xiaochen moved and charged toward the other members of the Mo family. Since he had already chosen to attack, Xiaochen wouldn't give the Mo family any more chances. His target was the last saint of the Mo family. In the entire Mo family, there were 3 other saints besides the patriarch of the Mo family, who was a quasi-saint great venerate. Xiaochen had already killed 2 of them. The last one was the second patriarch of the Mo family. He wasn't as strong as the patriarch of the Mo family, but he was slightly stronger than the third master of the Mo family. He was at the initial saint stage. However, it was obviously impossible for him to stop Xiaochen with this little bit of strength. With a flash, he instantly blocked in front of the second patriarch of the Mo family. When he saw this, the second patriarch of the Mo family knew that he couldn't escape, so he went all out and slashed out with his saber. He was going to die anyway. Facing the second patriarch of the Mo family's saber, Xiaochen flicked his sword and immediately blasted the second patriarch of the Mo family saber away. Then, he pointed his finger and the Mo sword finger instantly pierced through the second patriarch of the Mo family's forehead. After killing the second patriarch of the Mo family in 2 moves, all the experts above the saint stage in the Mo family were killed by Xiaochen. As a result, the remaining half-saints and Dao emperors weren't a match for Xiaochen at all. He chased after the members of the Mo family in a frenzy. All the members of the Mo family who were encountered by Xiaochen were killed without exception. The battle only ended when Xiaochen killed his way into the Mo family's mansion and killed the last member of the Mo family. The Mo family was annihilated. In a single day, the entire Mo family was completely annihilated. The entire Misty City was dyed red with blood. The surrounding people couldn't believe that the Mo family, which was the #1 family in Misty City yesterday, had actually been annihilated today. After slaughtering the Mo family, Xiaochen found Mo Juedai's corpse. As a saint on the saint rankings, Mo Juedai naturally had a lot of good things on him. He couldn't let them go to waste. Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendation. Chapter 1426. He directly erased the soul mark on Mo Juedai's storage ring and probed it with his divine sense. Just as Xiao Chun thought, Mo Juedai really had a lot of good things on him. Needless to say, pills and talismans, as a saint on the saint ranking, Mo Juedai definitely didn't lack these. In addition, what Xiao Chun valued the most were the two tokens. They were the same as Xiao Chen's token. Moreover, according to his observation, Xiao Chen was sure that these two tokens were also infused with spiritual power by the great sage. Their power was the same as Xiao Chen's token. It should be a life-saving trump card that the great sage in the heavenly palace had specially given to Mo Juedai. Unfortunately, Mo Juedai didn't even have the chance to use it and was directly killed by Xiao Chun. It wasn't wrong to be a little confident, but if it turned into arrogance, then it was courting death. If there was someone to blame, then Mo Juedai could only blame himself for being too arrogant and underestimating the enemy. Xiao Chun put all the treasures on Mo Juedai's body into his bag. As for the storage rings of the other Mo clan members, he didn't care at all. Thinking about it, there wouldn't be anything good in them, so he didn't bother to touch them. The Mo clan was destroyed, and Xiao Chun left under the horrified gazes of many cultivators in Misty City. Xiao Chun left Ethereal City, but the heavenly palace was already in a mess. In the main hall, dozens of quasi-saints and half-step great sage experts gathered together. Each of them had an extremely ugly look on their faces. They naturally saw the saint-ranking light screen that appeared in the sky just now, and Mo Juedai's name was directly erased from the saint ranking. This proved that Mo Juedai was definitely dead. If Mo Juedai was only defeated by Xiao Chun, then his name definitely wouldn't be directly erased. At most, he would just drop one rank. But now, Mo Juedai's name was no longer on the saint ranking. In this way, there was only one explanation. Mo Juedai was dead. Did Xiao Chun kill Mo Juedai? A half-step great sage asked indifferently. Hearing this, another half-step great sage expert nodded slightly and said, "It should be. After all, the change on the saint ranking means that Mo Juedai should really be dead." The saint ranking definitely wouldn't be wrong. Hearing this, the half-step great sage who spoke first exhorted for a moment and said, "Send someone to Misty City to see what exactly happened. In addition, send someone to pay attention to Xiao Chen's whereabouts." Based on the information on the saint rankings, they could only determine that Mo Juedai was dead. However, they could not be sure of the specifics. Therefore, it was necessary to send someone to Misty City. On the same day, two quasi-saint great sovereigns from the heavenly palace rushed to Misty City. The matter of Xiao Chun killing Mo Juedai and slaughtering the Mo family alarmed the heavenly palace. Of course, the heavenly palace naturally didn't care whether the Mo family was destroyed or not. They only cared about Mo Juedai. After all, Mo Juedai was a chosen on the saint ranking, and his ranking wasn't low. When the higher-ups of the heavenly palace began to take action, Tian Yu also went to find Tian Mushi. She had already followed Tian Mushi to the heavenly palace. Moreover, her talent was valued by the higher-ups of the heavenly palace. She was completely treated like a chosen on the saint ranking. Tian Yu didn't disappoint. She had now become a chosen on the saint ranking. Although her ranking wasn't high, her potential was very great. Tian Yue had taken the initiative to look for Tian Mushi because of Xiao Chun. Judging from the changes on the light screen of the saint ranking, it was obvious that Mo Juedai had died at Xiao Chen's hands. Furthermore, Tian Yue was also aware of the actions of the upper echelons of the heavenly palace. Tian Yu was afraid that the heavenly palace would harm Xiao Chun, so she immediately went to find Tian Mushi. Tian Yu didn't know many people in the heavenly palace, and she wasn't interested in dealing with them. Therefore, she could only come to find Tian Mushi. Tian Mushi was originally cultivating in her cave dwelling. When she saw Tian Yu, she slowly opened her eyes and smiled softly. "What's the matter? You actually came to find me. Senior sister, you know about Mo Juedai, right?" Tian Yu didn't hide anything and immediately asked, "Mo Juedai's matter?" Tian Mushi had already guessed Tian Yu's intention. She naturally knew about this matter. After all, the death of a chosen on the saint ranking was no small matter. A smile flashed across Tian Mushi's eyes as she faintly smiled. What? Are you here to plead on behalf of your husband? In an instant, he guessed Tian Yu's intentions. Hearing this, Tian Yu nodded and admitted to it. Now that Xiao Chun was in the Tian clan, if the Heavenly Palace wanted to deal with Xiao Chun, it would indeed be very troublesome. However, compared to Tian Yu's shock, Tian Mushi smiled faintly. You little girl, do you think the Heavenly Palace will deal with Xiao Chun? Won't they? Tian Yu asked doubtfully. Would the Heavenly Palace sit by and watch Xiao Chun kill Mo Juedai? That shouldn't be possible. After all, Mo Juedai was a chosen on the saint ranking. As Tian Yu had just stepped onto the hallowed ranking, she did not know much about the hallowed ranking. Seeing this, Tian Mushi laughed softly and explained. If a chosen on the saint ranking dies at the hands of another chosen on the saint ranking, then in half of the cases, the various major forces won't care. Firstly, the chosen on the saint ranking are very strong. They also have the protection of the will of the heavenly way. If the various major forces send their older generation experts, the weaker ones won't be able to kill them. Even if the stronger ones succeed in the end, they will be punished by the will of the heavenly way. Therefore, it's very difficult to deal with. Moreover, if the matter of a chosen on the saint ranking leads to the intervention of the major forces, then the matter will very likely blow up. After all, every chosen on the saint ranking has a powerful background. Take this matter for example. Xiao Chun killed Mo Juedai. That's a matter between the two of them. If the Heavenly Palace directly makes a move on Xiao Chun, it's very likely that it will arouse the anger of the Heavenly Yin sect and Taiyang sect. At that time, the slightest carelessness could lead to a war between the two sections. Therefore, if you're worried that the Heavenly Palace will send people to directly make a move on Xiao Chun, then you don't have to worry. As long as Xiao Chun killed Mo Juedai with his own strength and without the help of others, the Heavenly Palace won't care. Even if he dies, it can only be because Mo Juedai was too weak. The Heavenly Palace would only send people to Misty City to investigate and wouldn't make a move on Xiao Chun. Of course, the premise was that Mo Juedai had indeed died at the hands of Xiao Chun without the help of others. Otherwise, the Heavenly Palace would definitely intervene. Hearing Tian Mushi's words, Tian Yu nodded slightly. Seeing this, Tian Yu continued with a smile. However, although the Heavenly Palace won't make a move on Xiao Chun, the other chosen on the saint ranking will probably still seek revenge on Xiao Chun. Of course, this has nothing to do with the Heavenly Palace. Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendation. Chapter 1427. Under normal circumstances, the major forces of the central world wouldn't interfere in the matters between the chosen on the holy rankings. This was an unwritten rule. Otherwise, the central world would be constantly embroiled in the flames of war if the forces behind the chosen on the holy rankings were to intervene every time the chosen killed each other on the holy rankings were commonplace. Of course, no one else was allowed to interfere. Otherwise, it would be a violation of the rules. This time, Xiao Chen's killing of Mo Juedai was witnessed by countless people in Misty City. As long as the Heavenly Palace's people went to Misty City to investigate, they would know that Xiao Chun had indeed killed Mo Juedai with his own strength. No one else had interfered. As such, according to the rules, the Heavenly Palace wouldn't interfere in this matter. Of course, whether the other chosen under the Heavenly Palace on the saint ranking would hate Xiao Chun or seek revenge on Xiao Chun was none of the Heavenly Palace's business. After all, Xiao Chun had killed Mo Juedai. According to the rules, the Heavenly Palace wouldn't interfere with Xiao Chun. However, if the other chosen on the saint ranking killed Xiao Chun, the Heavenly Yin and Taiyang sect wouldn't interfere either. He gave a simple explanation to Tian Yu. Hearing this, Tian Yu could not help but breathe a sigh of relief. Seeing this, Tian Mushi laughed. Little girl, don't be happy too early. Although the Heavenly Palace won't interfere, it's hard to say what Tian Fun's group will do. If they go looking for Xiao Chun, then Xiao Chun will also be in danger. Tian Fun was one of the top 10 chosen on the Saint ranking. In the Heavenly Palace, his strength was second only to Tian Mushi. Now that he had broken through to the Saint stage, if Tian Fun were to interfere, then Xiao Chun would also be in danger. However, after hearing Tian Mushi's words, Tian Yu said confidently, "Among those of the same generation, my husband isn't afraid of anyone." The same goes for Tian Fun. Tian Yu had absolute confidence in Xiao Chun. Ever since he had stepped into the realm of martial arts, Xiao Chun had never been afraid of anyone of the same generation. Although Xiao Chun was still not a match for Tian Fun, Tian Yu was confident that Tian Fun would not be able to kill Xiao Chun. As long as the Heavenly Palace did not make a move, Tian Yue was not afraid. She believed that Xiao Chun would definitely be able to handle it. "Thank you, senior sister." A smile appeared on Tian Yu's face as she bowed and left with a peace of mind. Tian Mushi shook her head with a wry smile as she watched Tian Yu leave. She had been in such a hurry when she arrived, but she was so happy when she heard that the Heavenly Palace would not act against Xiao Chun. Tian Mushi also smiled and said, "This little girl." To be honest, Tian Mushi had a good impression of Tian Yu. The little girl was very talented, and at the same time, she wasn't a bad person. At the very least, she wasn't petty. Following Tian Yu's departure, Tian Mushi once again began to cultivate. However, at this time, Tian Mushi was also thinking in her heart, just what kind of situation would Xiao Chun cause in the Tian clan? This was somewhat interesting. Tian Mushi clearly had no intention of avenging Mo Juedai, and Tian Fun probably wouldn't either. After all, with Tian Fun's personality, he would only think that Mo Juedai's death was due to his own weakness, and not Xiao Chun. Tian Mushi and Tian Fun would not find trouble with Xiao Chun. As for the other holy children on the saint rankings, even if they went, it wouldn't be of much use. After all, even Mo Juedai had died in Xiao Chen's hands. If the others went, the result would be the same. The only person they needed to pay attention to was Tian Hifeng. His relationship with Mo Juedai was pretty good, and he was also ranked 36th on the saint rankings, the last of the 36 heavenly stars. In terms of strength, he was much stronger than Mo Juedai. His cultivation had even broken through to the saint realm a few days ago, and he had successfully broken through to the saint realm, Tian Fa. As such, Tian Hifeng should be the most likely person to find trouble with Xiao Chun. However, none of this had anything to do with Tian Mushi. She had no intention of finding trouble with Xiao Chun, but she would definitely not be kind enough to help Xiao Chun. Since he had killed Mo Juedai, he had to have the ability to deal with the following matters. Otherwise, who could he blame? Just like Mo Juedai, 7 days passed in a row. Just as Tian Mushi had said, after going to Misty City to understand what had happened, the Heavenly Palace indeed had no intention of taking action against Xiao Chun. However, many of the disciples below hated Xiao Chun to the point of gnashing their teeth. However, these people were all bark and no bite. Although they were happily scolding Xiao Chun now, they probably wouldn't dare to find trouble with Xiao Chun. After all, no one was a fool. Xiao Chun was a saint on the saint rankings, and he could even kill Mo Juedai. Wouldn't they be sending themselves to their deaths if they went? However, just because ordinary disciples didn't dare to go didn't mean that no one dared to. On this day, Tian Hifeng left the Heavenly Palace alone, obviously to search for Xiao Chen's whereabouts. Tian Mushi had guessed it. Tian Hifeng indeed wanted to avenge Mo Juedai. With his strength, although Xiao Chun had killed Mo Juedai, it didn't mean anything. Moreover, Tian Hifeng had broken through to the saint realm a few days ago, and his cultivation was higher than Xiao Chen's. Under the premise that there was a difference in cultivation, Xiao Chun couldn't possibly be a match for Tian Hifeng. Tian Hifeng's departure didn't alarm too many people. and Xiao Chun naturally didn't know about it. After 7 days, Xiao Chun arrived at a small city called Wanshan City. Wanshan City wasn't famous in the Tian clan's territory and could only be considered an ordinary small city. However, Xiao Chun, which used to be extremely ordinary, was now extremely lively. It was said that a secret realm was about to appear here. Half a month ago, spatial fluctuations had appeared intermittently on Yuehuan Mountain, which was less than 50 miles away from Wanshan City. At the same time, it was said that some people had seen the appearance of multicolored light. Such a strange scene naturally made many people think that this was a sign that something was going to happen in the secret realm. The appearance of the secret realm naturally attracted the attention of countless people. Therefore, cultivators from all over rushed to Wanshan City. Among them were the patriarchs of large clans, sect masters of various large sects, and so on. There were Saint Realm, Quasi-Saint Realm, and great venerables everywhere. The originally quiet Wanshan City had also become unusually lively during this period. Xiao Chun was also attracted by this rumor. Xiao Chun didn't plan to challenge the saint rankings in the short term. After all, the battle with Mo Juedai had let Xiao Chun know that it was almost impossible for him to become a heavenly dipper saint with his current strength. This was because even Tian Hifeng, who was ranked last among the 36 heavenly dipper saints, had broken through to the saint realm. Therefore, if Xiao Chun wanted to become a heavenly dipper saint, the most important thing now was to break through to the saint realm. There was definitely no chance of winning if there was a difference in cultivation. If he didn't break through to the saint realm, he couldn't think about becoming a heavenly dipper saint. Therefore, when he heard that a secret realm was about to appear in Wanshan Town, Xiao Chun rushed over immediately to try his luck. Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. Chapter 1428. Xiao Chun had already stayed in Wanshan Town for 5 days. Half a month had passed since he left Ethereal City. After a few days of observation, Xiao Chun also discovered that the cultivators gathered in Wanshan Town were basically people from some small forces. None of the disciples or elders of the Heavenly Palace showed up. However, this was normal. After all, Sky Palace was the only Supreme Sage sect in the Sky Race. The entire Sky Palace occupied more than 80% of the cultivation resources in the Sky Race's territory. There were many cultivation mystic realms in Sky Palace. They were not interested in guarding a mystic realm that they did not know what it was. Sky Palace was not interested. Those slightly larger sects also did not come. Only some people from some small forces around Wanshan Town came. These small forces were not strong. For example, Xiao Chun observed over the past few days. The strongest among them were only great venerables at the beginning of the quasi-sage realm. Moreover, there were only 3 of them. These 3 quasi-sage great venerables were the strongest cultivators gathered in Wanshan Town at this time. They came from 3 different sections. With only 3 quasi-sage great venerables, Xiao Chun had a lot of confidence in competing for this mystic realm. Of course, it also depended on what the mystic realm was. If it was just a useless mystic realm, then Xiao Chun had no interest in competing for it. In the past 2 days, the 5-colored light of Yuehuan Mountain appeared more and more frequently. It seemed that the mystic realm was indeed about to appear. Without continuing to stay in Wanshan Town, Xiao Chun went directly to Yuehuan Mountain. Like Xiao Chun, the other cultivators in Wanshan Town also rushed to Yuehuan Mountain at this time. Because of the havoc in Ethereal City just now, Xiao Chun was wearing a black bamboo hat at this time, which covered his face. Therefore, no one could recognize Xiao Chun's identity. Not wanting to cause more trouble, the most important thing now was to see what this mystic realm was like. If it was useful, Xiao Chun did not recommend competing for it. However, if it was useless, Xiao Chun would leave directly. Before that, he would avoid as many troubles as possible. All the way to Mount Yuehua. The small Mount Yuehua was already packed with people. Warriors from all the major forces, as well as many individual cultivators, had gathered on Mount Yuehua. Of course, the leaders were naturally the three quasi-saint venerables. Below them, there were more than 20 saints. There were nearly 10,000 people gathered here, and everyone's gaze was fixed on the peak of Mount Yuehua. Occasionally, there would be 5-colored rays of light shooting up into the sky, and the frequency was getting more and more frequent. It seemed that the secret realm would appear in the next few days. However, Xiao Chun didn't join in the fun with those powerhouses. He casually found a spot halfway up the mountain and quietly waited for the secret realm to appear. Xiao Chen's location was not eye-catching. After all, most people's gazes were focused on the few figures closest to the mountain peak. The stronger a person was, the higher they would stand. For example, the three quasi-saint supremes were standing side by side on the mountain peak. Behind them were the saints. The closer one was to the mountain peak, the easier it would be to obtain the secret realm after it appeared. However, Xiao Chun was very clear that although these people seemed to be only a step away from the secret realm, it was obviously impossible to rely on this little advantage to obtain the secret realm when it appeared. It was still fine if it was a useless secret realm, but if it was a useful secret realm that appeared this time, everyone present would fight until their heads bled. Because of this, Xiao Chun didn't fight for the positions around the mountain peak. Otherwise, with Xiao Chen's identity and strength, he could at least stand with those saints, even if he couldn't be on equal footing with the three quasi-saint supremes. However, these things were all empty and useless in Xiao Chen's eyes. Before the secret realm appeared, it was always right to keep a low profile. Originally, he didn't intend to attract attention, but when Xiao Chun closed his eyes to regulate his breathing, a fat Tian clan cultivator with a Dao Emperor realm cultivation took the initiative to approach Xiao Chun and said with a warm smile, "Brother, you're also here to compete for this secret realm, but I think we don't have a chance this time. Do you see the three people on the mountain peak? They're all quasi-saint supremes. With the three of them here, we probably don't have a chance." He didn't know this fat man at all, but he acted like they were close. After hearing this, Xiao Chun glanced at him indifferently and didn't have any intention of talking to him. Then, he closed his eyes and meditated again. Xiao Chun acted very indifferent, but the fat man had no intention of leaving at all. In the end, he even sat right next to Xiao Chun and chatted about everything under the sun. As he spoke, he even talked about what had happened in Ethereal City not long ago. "Alas, brother, did you know that a major event happened in Ethereal City half a month ago? Do you know the MO clan of Ethereal City? It's the #1 clan in Ethereal City. Don't you know the MO clan? You should know that MO Juedai, right? Not only is he a disciple of the Heavenly Palace, but he's also the 45th Holy Son on the Saint rankings. But unfortunately, half a month ago, it said that the human clan's Holy Son, Xiao Chun, passed by Ethereal City. For some reason, not only did Xiao Chun kill MO Juedai, he even slaughtered the entire MO clan. This matter caused a great shock in our Tian clan. It said that many young people of the Tian clan expressed their desire to kill Xiao Chun. Our Tian clan is so powerful. How can we allow a human clan cultivator to be so rampant?" The fat man spoke leisurely. Hearing this, Xiao Chun was a little amused. Many young people of the Tian clan wanted to kill him. Hey, that's not bad. Unfortunately, these people were probably just talking. Moreover, with their strength, could they kill him? While the fat man and Xiao Chun were chatting, a change finally occurred on the mountaintop. A multicolored light burst out, and the dazzling light made it impossible for people to open their eyes. Soon after, everyone could vaguely see that the ground at the top of the mountain seemed to have been torn apart. Soon after, a circular hole with a diameter of about 10 meters appeared. This hole went all the way into the mountain. Moreover, from the hole, a white spirit chi that was almost visible to the naked eye drifted out. Although it was faint and rapid, this wisp of spirit chi was enough to make people feel refreshed. Wasn't this a secret realm? Following the change on the mountaintop, everyone was a little depressed. This clearly didn't look like a secret realm. They were a little disappointed, but this disappointment didn't last long. Soon, On the mountaintop, a quasi-sage great sovereign spoke, and everyone present was stunned. This is the 10,000-year spirit milk pool. How is this possible? Begging for collection, begging for monthly votes, begging for recommendations. Chapter 1429. It wasn't a mystic realm. However, when this quasi-sage, great venerable said the words 10,000-year spiritual milk pool, everyone around was dumbfounded. The so-called 10,000-year spiritual milk pool was a spiritual pool formed after the spiritual energy of heaven and earth had been deposited for tens of thousands of years, or even hundreds of thousands of years. Because the spiritual liquid was milky white and had been formed for at least 10,000 years, it was called the 10,000-year spiritual milk pool. Although the 10,000-year spiritual milk pool wasn't a secret realm, its preciousness wasn't inferior to a secret realm at all. It was even more precious than most secret realms. Just think about it. How pure was the energy contained in the spiritual liquid that had been deposited in the 10,000-year time lock? It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that this 10,000-year spiritual milk pool would have a fatal attraction to any martialist with a high cultivation base. There was no other use other than to help a warrior cultivate. It was a one-off use. After all, there was a limit to the amount of spiritual liquid in the 10,000 years old spirit milk pool. Once the spiritual liquid in the 10,000 years old spirit milk pool was completely absorbed, it would naturally be wasted. It would take at least 10,000 years to slowly recover. The number of 10,000-year spiritual milk pools was extremely rare in the entire Central world. Who would have thought that one would appear here? After a brief moment of stupefaction, everyone's breathing quickened, and a fiery look appeared in their eyes. In the face of a never-before-seen 10,000-year spiritual milk pool, it was believed that no cultivator could remain indifferent. Therefore, the reaction of these people was reasonable. Even the fatty from the heavenly clan who had been bragging to Shao Chun had a fiery look in his eyes. But this fiery look was quickly extinguished. I didn't expect it to be a 10,000-year spiritual milk pool. If I had known earlier, I'm afraid even the heavenly palace would have come. Unfortunately, we have no hope. The fatty wasn't lying. If they had known earlier that it was a 10,000-year spiritual milk pool, even the heavenly palace wouldn't have remained indifferent. But even if no one from the heavenly palace came, they wouldn't have a share of the 10,000-year spiritual milk pool. After all, there were 3 quasi-saint great sovereigns and more than 20 saints on the mountain peak. The fatty had completely given up on seizing this pool of spirit milk. After all, with his cultivation at the Tao Emperor realm, it was utterly impossible for him to become eminent amongst so many experts. However, not only did Shao Chun not give up, but he was also very excited. If he could obtain the 10,000-year spiritual milk pool, Shao Chun would have the possibility to break through to the saint realm. It should be known that Shao Chun was already a half-step saint. He was only half a step away from becoming a saint. Once Shao Chun broke through to the saint realm, he would have the confidence to fight against those celestial saints on the saint rankings. No matter what, he had to seize this 10,000-year spirit milk pool. However, now wasn't the time. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. It was better to fight with the 3 quasi-sage great venerables and saints first. Not in a hurry to make a move, Shao Chun continued to sit cross-legged on the spot quietly. Just as Shao Chun thought, who wouldn't want to monopolize a 10,000-year spirit milk pool? Therefore, while Shao Chun was secretly making a decision, the 3 quasi-sage great venerables had already begun to fight on the mountaintop. After the quasi-sage great venerate, standing on the far left, decided that this was really a 10,000-year spirit milk pool, he directly attacked the other quasi-sage great venerate beside him without any warning. Although it was a somewhat despicable sneak attack, who would care about this in the face of such a precious treasure? Of course, the other party wasn't an idiot. Anyone who could become a quasi-sage great venerate was an experienced person. Therefore, The quasi-sage Great Venerate, standing in the middle, had already been on guard. In the face of the sneak attack, the quasi-sage Great Venerate moved his body and dodged it easily. After dodging the sneak attack, the quasi-sage Great Venerate revealed a faint smile. I already knew that you would use this move. You have done a lot of sneaky things over the years. The three quasi-sage Great Venerates weren't strangers to each other, so they naturally knew each other's character like the back of their hands. The quasi-sage Great Venerate who launched the sneak attack didn't get angry. Instead, he smiled faintly. You can't blame me for this. Who wouldn't be tempted by such a precious treasure in front of them? Why don't the two of you retreat? I will definitely reward you handsomely when the time comes. How about it? What a joke. Then the two of you retreat. I will definitely reward you handsomely when the time comes. How about it? You really have a lot of nonsense. Won't we know who it belongs to after a fight? The three quasi-sage Great Venerates spoke one after another. It seemed like the three of them had no intention of sharing this 10,000-year spirit milk pool with others. Thinking about it, who would be willing to share such a precious treasure with others? Unless they were fools. The three quasi-sage Great Venerates attacked each other at the same time. Following the eruption of the battle between the three quasi-sage Great Venerates, more than 20 saints below also attacked. For a moment, the lunar mountain was in chaos. The experts fought endlessly for the 10,000-year spirit milk pool, while the other cultivators with lower cultivation retreated one after another. At this time, they also knew that this 10,000-year spirit milk pool was not fated with them. Under the eyes of so many experts, they simply didn't have the slightest chance. Xiao Chun, who was mixed in the crowd, also retreated to the side. However, his expression was different from the others. Hidden under the black bamboo hat, Xiao Chun's lips were slightly curled up, revealing a confident smile. The others didn't dare to snatch the food from the tiger's mouth, but Xiao Chun dared. Moreover, seeing these people fighting so fiercely, Xiao Chun was secretly delighted. Fight! The more intense the fight, the better. In the end, Xiao Chun would come to clean up the mess. Now that so many experts were fighting together, they didn't know that they were making a wedding dress for Xiao Chun. If they didn't fight, then Xiao Chun might have a headache. After all, he was from the human race, and this was the territory of the sky race. If these experts didn't fight and Xiao Chun came forward to snatch it, then he would undoubtedly become the target of public criticism. But judging from the current situation, when these experts fought to the point where both sides were injured, Xiao Chun would come forward and snatch this 10,000-year spirit milk pool. While they were fighting happily, these experts obviously didn't know that there was a fierce tiger eyeing them covetously from the side. Once both sides were injured, Xiao Chun would jump out to reap the spoils of war. A pair of eyes stared fixedly at the battle on the mountaintop. It could be seen that these three quasi-sage Great Venerates were really angry. Their attacks could be said to be extremely ruthless, without the slightest bit of mercy. However, this was just right. It would be best if they perished together. Please collect, please vote, please recommend. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.